pretty much going to be a test of what we can handle on this PC in terms of streaming and playing a game like this, because 40k, or well, Dactide, along with Vermintide as well, is pretty intensive when it comes to some battles. Got my coffee there. But I shall see. Like, my PC is not the best, so I may have to turn down graphics a little. Probably gonna get some frame skips. Yeah, like, drop frames are happening a lot right now. But anyway, play a little bit of Dactide. Today, that's the plan. Lock in.
A supply stockpile at Manufactorum HL1736 has fallen.
Been playing this game a bit off stream.
These
Love
supplies belong to the Omnissiah and therefore to us. Restore the divine order. Enter Manufactorum HL1736. Drive the heretic rabble from Consignment Yard Sigma 57 and signal for reinforcements.
They seem a bit small, don't they?
We are all part of the Omnissiah's great machine. They play their role.
Thought your weapons were made here.
Beneficent Emperor, may this labor of war find reward in your sight!
Data interrogators deployed in Production Nexus Sigma 57 will grant access to the consignment yard.
Good afternoon. Bonjour.
As sacred as any little.
There's quite a few missions I still haven't done on this game.
Come, pilgrims! Here is our path! Ammo!
Nice. You know, coming back to this after a while, it's such a like refreshing game. I'll probably download Vermintide in a couple of days and give Vermintide a go again.
Hey!
Because I know
We
they
going
released
in
some new free
circles or what?
updates for Vermintide as well.
Searching for...
Eyes on Bastard! Shotgunner!
Spinning it.
Faith is the strongest weapon! Try it.
Wow, we got double whammy there.
Do not abandon us, Templar!
Could have been bad.
Come on, neutralized.
Here he comes. Here he comes.
Kill the mutant! Run!
Oh shit, Berserkers. Oh, that is them. I feel like there's someone behind us.
Make haste through the workers' cloister. Strive for efficiency.
bitch.
Waste ammo! It's dead now!
Oh, just shot my own teammate. Oh my god, the itchiest nose. That's not what he destroyed, right? There was two of them in there? Wait, come back. Is that a sniper's laser right
You may now descend to the production nexus.
Chaos Hound! Close by!
Wow, I thought you could block that.
Kill the Christ damn thing! The beast! Kill it!
I'm fine, guys. Just being dog chow. Wait, what? Who saved me?
Beneficent Emperor, hear me!
Deploy data interrogators to clear access to coolant control.
The barrel is going to explode! Retreat!
Wait for me. Holy shit. Wow, I got left behind there. I don't know what happened. I think the guy with the flamethrower actually saved me. That guy. Taking all my ammo.
Medicate terminal. Patch
Taking
yourselves up.
everything.
Data inbound. Continue. Defend.
Are we defending? I was not paying attention.
Eyes on Atraxis 16.
Flamer is judged!
Taking cover!
The Psyker is beleaguered!
Unreliable machine.
Do not disrupt the flow of data again.
Leaving Bastion! Neutralize that corner!
That it?
A Chaos Hound!
Got the hound. Someone fix that thing.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
Data link back online. You are not a complete failure.
Thanks,
Well
boss.
done, I suppose.
Planet in flame!
Completion imminent.
My journey is close to its end.
I'm so dead.
Access must freeze. No one's increased.
Toughness boost.
Your incompetence is showing. The interrogator requires a reboot.
Perhaps you should spend
Infiltration ended.
nation. Danger so.
At last! Kindly continue to coolant control, varlets.
Ammo! Crack grenade! This ragged big one's die! What do you think I'm trying to do?
A little longer, and victory will be ours!
Detonator.
Dragon pig's dead at last!
Nice.
True professional veteran.
You have reached coolant control. Now access consignment yard Sigma 57.
Hogsburster, close it fast! You cannot hide the magnificent Emperor!
I see.
Bomber reporting in! A bomber! Kill it! Healing! Perhaps we will not be martyrs today after all!
System operation functional.
You need to group together.
I hope our reinforcements are on their way.
Reclamation Strike Force Beta 5 are already in the air.
You forgot to send them on time, didn't you?
I love the suppression on this gun. Because it like stuns the enemy.
Consignment yard Sigma 57 in sight. Small and secure. Firstly, varlets, you need to shut down their Skyfire defenses.
Holy shit.
Enemies pinning in.
The flame that burns! You are bleeding, Psycho! executioner could do no better!
Reinforcements inbound. Provide landing beacon.
The thunder of the righteous! Do you hear?
Oh my god.
My work is final! The road to judgment is dark and lonely. The hounds come seeking judgment!
Reloaded! Engine protocol engaged! Visual on a sniper!
Shit, I have ammo.
Watch out! Come out!
Purge nearing completion. At last.
Cowards! Come and face your death!
No dropship yet.
Right in the bracket.
That's a big one.
Hey,
There he is. Oh my god.
Do not despair! Keep fighting!
Objectives achieved. The support team will take over Brontia.
Bennett, you're only a day late.
Shield off! Take shelter!
Mission complete. Let's go. That's actually insane. It's crazy. What is that? Level 30? Yeah, we ain't that high level yet. Level 17, bruh.
Let us see what can be done.
This was the new one, right? I mean, it's got a higher power level than my hammer. Also does a lot more damage. Shredder. It's maybe with running. More penetration as well, so I can't see why not. Yeah, that's like a no-brainer. What else is here? Like, this is also a better gun, but goddamn, I really do like my my machine gun. 60 ammo capacity. This one's only got 31. So you're carrying less ammo as well. It kinda sucks. Wait, what? Oh, this one's like the bigger mag. Interesting. I can't, so I can do that. What changes though? Oh, some of the picks of it here. High capacity, precision, high capacity. Not much changes here. Other than ammo. I like this one because I get more ammo. Oh. Yeah, I don't have that. Medics? You can get skins for them. This one looks a lot cooler. Tempted to try the assault rifle though, I'm not gonna lie. I am tempted. Whip, might as well have some more emotes, even though I don't know the button for them. Kinda want these. Looks cool as fuck. Some massive books. That one's nice. Holy shit. Itches? What? I'm good. That one is also nice. Same with that one. But I think these are in this thing here. If I remember correctly, yeah, you unlock these from here. That massive book, though. That'd be cool. That would be cool. Yeah, so there's all these things to unlock through here. It was like the last of it. This helmet. Pretty cool. There is...
I've worked with worse.
the meat grinder. Familiarize yourself with war gear, and then to battle prepared as a... That these heretics don't feel pain. Good. Good. So that's like a roguelite kind of a way of playing things. I'd go on it before it was okay. Do Menace or Malice. Now, was I gonna try my new weapon? It doesn't really have anything going for it though, just more damage, which I feel like kind of pointless having. Kind of pointless.
Strike Team Intel has traced the blighted stim production to an obscure den deep in the heart of the carnival. Big surprise, but them's the breaks. Don't expect much in the way of help down there. Seems the Mobians have the entire district pacified. It's traitors as far as the eye can see. Cutting the stim supply is out of the question, but we can gather intel for future operations. Give me something we can use. Got it?
Must be some real good candles to stay alight on his head. These guys look like they know what they're doing.
I see the Emperor calls you to glory. Never a dull moment. Can I help you, sir? As you were, Sergeant Major. I'm simply showing an interest.
I'm gonna turn these off because I think they are having some effect.
Triumph shall be ours, in the beneficent Emperor's name!
Lighting's not that much of a difference with those off and on. This head bob though is killing me.
Seek them, little ones!
It looks so tranquil, but heresy hides beneath. Yeah, it's a real delight, sir.
I have dreamt of cleansing such a place. Work enough to fill a lifetime.
Oh, the skulls on Malice, okay.
I see these live ideas! Kendrick, try something! Real salvation!
correct path?
Nothing's certain, but data from other strike teams and Wormwood agents all agree.
Ambush! Our ladders repeated strike!
Burning flame!
So cool, man. A chainsaw.
Magnificent Emperor! Behold your humble servant!
Smite that shotgun!
Shield is a good idea.
Striking with armor!
I can see ya.
You need to group up! This looks good to me.
And exactly how have you reached that theory?
Just go in with my gun.
Splendid. Consider me entirely reassured.
Holy shit. Bitch.
Behold, another slain ranger! Out of ammo!
Ammo? Or grenades, I'll take a minute.
I'm good like that. Our quest continues this way.
Blessed ammunition! A million worlds, all beneath the beneficent Emperor's glorious banner. Reloading!
This is not fun. Holy shit.
They have knocked me down!
Oh my god, there's another beast of the too.
My time of of need is upon me!
Bro, that difficulty jump from...
It is scowling face of their contagion! Fire rage!
Oh.
Where's the group gone? Ned Station! The God Emperor blesses us! Your ship! Vile! Beastie!
Hey, he's getting me.
I'm still covered in its slobber! Yee-haw! Find the high!
I'm so dead. I feel like this audio is a bit loud. He's so dead. Oh, that grab.
Kill your sharpshooter! For the God Emperor! Burn heretics!
Nice, you got a stall. Oh my god, this is bad.
I can't believe it! The indignity!
How far away is he? He's like just up top. If he could get down somehow for the three of us. But then again, he does have that chaos ball. That's ass.
It's gone! There! Sniper! This! Me! Down! Kill the flight bag!
Bro, that is like... Nice try. Bruh. We failed the Emperor. Shit. That was rough. I have yet to complete one on that difficulty. Maybe I should just stick to, It was a lot of coin. Maybe I should just stick to, like, a bit of an easier difficulty just to level up. And grind my way up there. But then there's, like, that part of me who just wants to just, like, get in. Just, like, deal with the pain of failing. This gun's good. The problem I'm having, I believe, is that I suck. So we're going in again on a hard difficulty. That's what I believe in.
This is the Carnival District. Not exactly the finest sight Tertium has to show, but we go where duty takes us. Mobians have the place on lockdown. Anyone still alive down there is either a heretic or damned by association. Make for the amphitheatre and find a sample of the stims the Mobians are pushing. Might not be anything to do with the blight, but without luck I wouldn't bet against it.
Shit.
I know stealth ain't exactly your thing, but give
How
it a
cool
try
that
for me, would
looks.
ya? We'll scrape what we can from the heretic fox array, but no guarantees.
I trust your silence.
Can I get this game looking like a little smoother? I don't think this is doing much. Sharpen. I've got Ultra Performance on. I have Intel. I don't have ADM. Can't tell if it looks better without the video.
Right, that got their attention. Find those damn cipher codes.
The barracks is under attack.
I think that was look better. Plus boost. Oh my god, this is loading in. I'm gonna try and use more melee combat. Oh my god.
I am one with the war!
Gonna need more explosives to clear that out.
I gotta pop my F now as well. Save some HP. Holy shit. Let's go.
That's the terminal you're after. Get those damn ciphers.
Why are they still alive? I want them dead.
Marching forward!
Man, I am like dropping first.
Heal thyself, Guardian. We have need.
Just like a bear.
Fear me!
Nauseating denouement!
In the district!
Get shotgunner! Ammo break!
Oh my god.
They have knocked me down!
Oh shit. Oh my god.
Will you accept my aid, Zealot?
I am ashamed to require your help!
Wasn't there like a healing thing? Am I tripping? There we go. Not tripping. Depressing!
Hope you section!
I love this gun.
That's the ciphers! Keep moving!
Not the most accurate, but goddamn does it feel good.
You cannot hide from the beneficent Emperor!
It feels good. Bit shit
I
on.
am forsaken, it seems.
Akoma's imperial time. Do you think it would be waived given the war?
Fox traffic is garbled, sir. I don't think the teams can hear each other.
These heretics can't talk to each other! What a shame! Better head for the brewery before they get beat.
I do like a change of scenery. So I'm sure this place will be bathed in Mobians. Just like the last. Just about hope
Idiot.
screams, but the blood, the entrails. I'm going to smell like an abattoir for days.
There is no finer tribute to the Master than an offering of heretic blood. Bathe in splendor and rejoice!
I really hope that is the figure of speech.
It is holy scripture.
Place was always a drag hole if you ask me. Whatever Zola says.
You dead? He is dead.
We could have done without the hole. I don't want to die here. It should be embarrassing.
There we go.
Dreams of a paradise. Yes!
Ranger is cleansed!
No! Not anymore!
What is that?
Help! I see your flag! I think it's time to kill everyone!
Whatever it is, it hates me. Bro.
Oh, baby voices!
Oh my god. Uh-oh. Guys, guys. Oh, okay.
Emperor's mercy administered.
Why am I gaming again? Because I'm enjoying this game.
Yes.
Even though my PC could hardly handle it. Oh, there am I. Man, that thing just went for my ass. Like, it
You
really
should let your associates
destroyed me.
reapply their ammo.
Well, I'm
cycle.
told.
Gun sighted.
So what do you get for these skulls?
I will! Right?
Protocol demands I help.
And I'm saved.
Sight beyond sight. Must rest. Must rest.
The amphitheaters are on the other side of the brewery. You best get in there.
Holy shit. Bro, I am not having a good time here. This guy stopped shooting me?
Do you not see me here in need?
I'll assist you, fanatic.
I really gotta start gunning again.
Your rage is not
Stop shooting us, please.
Eyes of that human. And remains unconvinced that a soul lies
Thank you.
I've got as much of a soul as you. More, maybe.
This life, even an inferior soul, is better than life to a soulless abomination.
On the game station!
My god, not again. I'm just gonna kite. I'm kiting.
I judge thee! In Terra's name!
Where did he come from?
The beneficent
Appreciate
Emperor has
it.
guided a hand this day.
See how the Guardian strikes.
I am in need of ammo. What's going on down there?
Ammo crate!
Ammo crate! Ammo crate! Want something done? Ask Ogrin!
Try coming for a fall, brute.
You need to group up.
Tell me there's a contact.
Still nothing, sir. I've communicated your displeasure to the troops.
Chaos Hound! Close by!
Where?
Neutralize! I have a tracker! I can't lift you, Ogrin!
Oh god.
Die, Rager!
Oh, friend?
A blow well struck, pilgrims!
Duty is born better in silence than celebration.
Silence! I shall offer praise where I see fit. Good shot.
Pick up the pace. You don't want to get trapped here.
You should be with us. Many enemies.
Stand true. Stand fast.
Dude looked like a local drunk. Alright, I'm gonna stand in here and shoot everything that gets in.
You're making good progress. Don't come apart on me now.
I'll be using that. Ping this for
Eye
everybody.
of the storm, wherein our wounds may be healed.
Ammo!
I'll take that. Thank you.
Me afraid. Fear is for little.
It can also be a useful tool, Odin.
Oh shit, I forgot that summons everything. Oh my god.
Ways of sin
Nope. Just so that I can get him up. Oh my god. If I can get out of this and then buff myself. That'd be nice.
You are judged.
Oh my god. Get him up, bro. While he's eating me.
Forgive me, beneficent emperor, that I ever doubted. Taking a trophy, zealot?
Oh my god.
All corrupted flesh must be purged.
I'd like to thank my kiting skills there. for surviving that. If it wasn't for those guys. I would have definitely been dead a long time ago.
Take a moment. Find comfort in prayer.
There should still be a health thing here. Oh, yes. Let's see, can I get Friendo up?
Ammo! Quickly!
Friend?
Make of it what you will, Ogren. I would prefer a clear translation.
Get in there, big boy. A lot of skulls. Alright, I have a feeling that down here is not gonna go well. Holy shit. I'm coming, buddy.
Beneficent Emperor, hear me! I exhort thee!
Back, Satan!
Gang reports of bodies and weapons.
Excuse me, boys.
No sign of Morrow's team.
Fuck that guy in particular. Oh my god. Bro, why was there a chaos spawn? They're dead. There's no way. Yeah. Oh my god. It is me. Yeah.
Again!
That chaos spawn, maybe it is better just going on like an easier difficulty because we're not making it through. GG.
Farewell, Ogren! Confess your sins! You've slain the bomber!
Good shot. Not. Yeah. We suffered. Yeah, maybe just going on like a normal difficulty is much needed. I don't think my character's built. Or maybe I don't know. Event tier completed. Oh, nice. Why have I been summoned?
What do you want? I didn't call for crew support. Unless you know how to read Predator Servo. You know, I've seen so many of you come and go, I can hardly keep track. Let me give you a tip. You want to make your mark here? Prove yourself. Work hard. Demonstrate how essential you are to the big man. That's how you win trust.
I'm trying, lady.
Now get lost. Come back when you've survived a few more missions. And if I know your name by then, you'll know you are doing something right.
It's hot out here, alright? It ain't easy. Half of Trust,
This will be
Chapter
a long
3.
and difficult road. Take comfort in the fact that you likely will not see its end.
You become an asset, but assets remain expandable. Reach level 21. Surprisingly not dead, even though judging from the last two events, one may consider me dead. I was just imprisoned. Hands out. I'll try and cap that out at 60. Will this work better? Ultra performance.
I have work aplenty, even for hands such as yours. Ambition, authority, adaptability. You lack all three, I'll warrant.
That's strong. I don't have enough though. This is also very strong. What is this? 10% chance of gym reward. That seems pretty good. Instead of weapon. I imagine this is what this is talking about. What is this? Unknown melee weapon, unknown ranged weapon.
That's an interesting choice.
Bro, I didn't choose anything. It was just random. What do you mean? That's powerful. Is it possible to... That's a nice gun. Is it possible to change this around? That is nice. Do I have any hats? That's a cool helmet. Not sure about that. seems way more pixely with the AMD shit. I know don't know what that does. Bowman's, which that one is dead. Ah. Yeah, Intel's the way to go. But what does this do? Increase frame rate by creating additional frames. Requires a restart of game to take effect. But what does this do? Reduces system latency and increases PC. Let me just try restarting, see what this other generation thing is, the frame rate thing. And play. Alrighty. See, the thing with these guns though, the profane guns, it's like, I'm not sure if that's like the best rank, or if it's just... It may just be a gun with like a huge base damage, but like no picks, which I'm not sure if it's best running this or my Transcendent. It's definitely better than my Transcendent gun in a lot of areas, but no stopping power. We'll try. Lateral. This one has a lot more damage. Less ammo though. Try this one. Point talents. Melee attack speed. Yes. Yeah, okay, what is... I'm trying to optimize this the best way I can. Mesh quality? Medium. No, we don't care then. That to low. Global occlusions, screen reflections increases. Yeah, okay. Right, this is way too hard. I'm just gonna stick to this so I can actually like level up and not fail. The fuck is this guy from?
The insidious blighted stim trade must be brought to an end. The matter will doubtless require extraordinary violence and mortal peril, so naturally I thought of you. You're deploying to the
This one does.
Carnival in the shadow of the Cathedral of Messalina Vengeance. It will likely not be a pleasant experience, but it's not as though you have any choice. I've analyzed the data, and it would appear that the Cathedral is in fact the next link in this squalid little chain. Proceed there at best speed, taking care not to die before strictly necessary.
I still say we should have sent a larger team. I have a very bad feeling about this.
Forgive me, but I will always favor my meticulous preparations over your hunches.
Well, skulls definitely don't drop on them. This difficulty, I'm pretty sure, so there's no way of doing my objectives.
Ranger eliminated!
This would seem a suitable moment to employ Hadron's Fox Super.
Does she know you call it that?
What a ridiculous question. I suspect she has more recording devices aboard this ship than I do.
Ammo!
Can we stop shooting everybody so I can see someone? Has the gun sound changed with the extended barrel? All of it is. Definitely more damage.
We grow tired of thy broken promises, turncoat.
Holy shit.
Yes, thou art as thou should be.
Now that is interesting.
Be gone from my sight!
interesting noises. Get him, boys. What is this?
Not too late to pull the team out.
Yes, it is. I don't like we send operatives to their deaths, but I need to know what's happening in the cathedral.
Trust me, they'll survive. If only to prove you wrong.
Will we survive though? Woman has too much faith in us.
Still can't believe Cadia's gone. Nothing is eternal except the Emperor. The Cadians learn that to their cost. The way is too dark to walk alone.
What is that noise? Oh.
Medicaid station!
Must not imperil the right. Tis prophecy. Tis foretold.
They won't. I have my finest soldiers acting on me even now.
Soldiers? Brawlers? Gutter fighters? Nothing.
I feel like I'm in danger here. Was that like a... Oh my god.
Concentration, Stim! Hey! You gotta stop rushing in like that! Makes you a target!
Ha! Let the heretics assail me, if they dare! For is mine not the strength of the God Emperor?
No, it ain't! Catch enough L-gun shots and you'll be a greasy smear!
I care not for your imagery. It is unbecoming.
I told you the water was the key to all this. You didn't listen.
Now is not a good time to indulge your obsessions, Augustine.
You said that before. If you hadn't, things might be different.
Special condition.
Might have beans.
Reports of hounds active. Oh my god, so there's more hounds than usual. Should be fun.
Go there! The flame that
Lie to us. Speak to us how this is under thy control.
Wait. Just wait. They will come no further.
Thy confidence is a crutch.
Alright.
Another ambush. Still playing the hit.
You're sealed in.
waiting for a big rush. I'm gonna activate my
The ritual must be protected. You're dividing our forces. What thou hast must be sufficient.
Atonement is not yet yours, Psycho!
Oh my god. Stay dead, bro. Stay dead.
You cannot pierce its armor! Your rage is not enough! On your feet, soldier!
I'll return the favor. You wait.
The soldiers have failed. Unleash holy retribution.
I believe we have reached the crisis point.
What's coming out of that gate?
Team effort! That thing's gonna kill us all! The top fragger aging! You cannot guard against blows from behind! Prepare to meet your end!
Nice.
Should they succeed in disrupting the right, there will be no place that thou can hide.
Nice.
Your pressure also failed, remember? Admonition forgets nothing.
Not more dogs.
Eyes open! I hear it out! This way! I'm gonna hurt you!
So the cult named themselves Admonition. I should have seen it. And that they were the true architect of this unpleasant.
Now is not the time for recriminations.
Very kind but untrue. There will be recriminations enough to last a lifetime.
Med station! Medicaid station!
Power filled. The grandfather's generous eye settles upon the cathedral. Thou needst only hold them back for a little time. I will not fail the admonition. We lack thy confidence.
Striking. You are about to enter the unknown. Whatever it is the heretics are attempting, it must be stopped. You must prove equal to the task of ending it. The Emperor protects.
Sigma Minorities 3-3! Incoming! Fire grenade!
Dust of thy final promise fall ashen. Finish your right. My soldiers will hold them back.
I'll take 2 small stashes, better than no stashes.
Ammo!
Big grandma, but if no one takes it.
Come here, right now!
Combat
Follow me!
How the fuck do you emote on this game? Tactical? Tactical?
What in throne's name are they attempting?
Whatever the cult intends, those stims are clearly part of it.
Okay, now I remember
Strike
this one
team, silence, please, now.
being really difficult. So I'm gonna try and save ammo.
You're through! Keep fighting!
Chainsaw's ass.
Barrier down! Now! That's it!
There he is. Got him. Oh, that was a waste.
The stim types are vulnerable! Smash them!
Magnificent Emperor! Seize your work, Emperor!
Where was that grenade at?
That
the
would
grenadier
seem to be
there.
that. We can consider this a good day's work.
I concur. So what were the cults attempting here?
I don't know, but I mean to find out. For today, it is enough to know that they failed.
No more hiding in the shadows. The three shall meet.
That was a bunch of stuff completed right there. Eh. Wasn't that impressive. But still leveling up, I think, is the main deal from here. And also, like, getting experience to do weapon masteries. Low jog. Oh. May he witness your deeds. Nice. Oh, wow. Of course I'm taking that. Kind of like the one I've got. Masteries. Must be guns. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Still my favorite weapon so far.
I find that I cannot fool.
Whatever, friend. Whatevs. That's a lot of high difficulty ones right there. The thing is with that, it just like there's a lot of stuff going on. Holy shit. There is a lot of stuff going on. And my PC, it do be struggling with that game to stream it, so I don't think it's the best stream game. My PC do be struggling. Da 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 da.
This video is brought to you.
And now, chill on some, what do you call it? Some videos, I think. Because I was actually starting to, hit my eyes. My eyeballs. Where's my other headphones? And those headphones, man, they squeege my head. They do be squeeging. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, something like that. There was something on in my kitchen. Righty. Gonna change a couple like titles. Well, definitely not an ESO, are we? We ain't definitely not an ESO. What was this? All in caps. Dunzo. YouTube. Change the title of my shit on that one. Da-da-da. Edit video. Get out of caps on this one. What is the section I'm in YouTube? What is that? INS section on YouTube? Gaming? We're not in gaming. Entertainment, since it's just like reacting. Yeah. That's what we're going for. Hold you over here. I can go for some more YouTube videos as I'm doing this. Right. There we go.
To you thanks to our sponsor, Surfshark, and also thanks to the support of my Patreon. In 2016, two political shocks occurred across the Atlantic. In the United States, Bernie Sanders launched a grassroots campaign that reawakened the American left, and in France, Jean-Luc Mélenchon broke away from traditional party politics to create La France Insoumise, France Unbowed, a bold insurgent movement aimed at rewriting the rules of French politics. By 2022, Mélenchon came very close to reaching the presidential runoff after
Also
uniting most of the French left behind a radical program of ecological planning, social justice, and democratic renewal. His message resonated with the youth, working class voters, but also those who felt abandoned by mainstream politics. In 2024, France Unbowed heavily influenced the program of the Popular Front Alliance, which won the legislative elections against the far right, against Macron's party, and against all odds. But France Unbowed is no longer just a French phenomenon. With the publication of Now the People, Mélenchon has taken his fight abroad, touring the US, calling for global alliance of popular movements, and even sitting down with Twitch streamer Hassan Piker, symbol of a generation fed up with traditional party politics and demanding real change. At the same time, the backlash has intensified. A new book, La Meute, so The Pack, is an investigation painting Mélenchon as a danger to the Republic. It is part of a broader wave of attacks that...
I mean, he is like a socialist, so I guess they would label him as that. Because he's like pretty much anti-establishment.
Aim less to debate his ideas than to discredit his presence. So what is it about this man, this movement, that provokes such fascination and such fear? In this video, we'll dive into the rise of France Unbowed, its story, its battles, its strategy, and shortcomings. Because in a time of abundance for the few and scarcity for the many, France may once again be the place where new ideas are tested and the future is imagined. At least that's what my French pride leads me to believe. So my name's Alice, welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about the man and the movement that changed French politics forever. To understand France Unbowed, we have to start with the life of the man who shaped it. A life of ideas, rebellion, betrayal, and reinvention. The political life of Jean-Luc Mélenchon. But before I do that, I need to talk to you about today's sponsor, Surfshark. You know, as someone who spends hours researching for these videos and for other projects, I need unrestricted access to information. But the truth is, a lot of the internet is geo-blocked. Articles, documentaries, and even certain websites are just out of reach, depending on where you are in the world. That's where Surfshark comes in. Surfshark is a VPN that lets me virtually change my location to anywhere in the world, unlocking content I wouldn't otherwise have access to. It's like giving yourself a digital passport to the global internet. You need to read an article only available in the UK? No problem. You want to watch a documentary that's only available on a Japanese version of a streaming platform? Easy. Surfshark makes it possible. And beyond access, it's also about privacy. Whether I'm on public Wi-Fi while traveling or digging through obscure archives for the videos, Surfshark encrypts my data, keeping my online activity private and secure. It even blocks ads, trackers, malware, and phishing attempts with its clean web feature. Plus, there's also this brilliant feature called multi-hop, which routes your connection through 2 VPN servers instead of just one. That means double the encryption, double the privacy. It's ideal when I'm handling sensitive sources or doing research I'd rather keep completely anonymous. And the best part,
because
one
I was
Surfshark
starting to get a headache from that game.
Works on
There's only
unlimited
so much
devices,
my head can
laptop,
take
phone, tablet. We
shooters.
love to see this. Everything is covered. So if you're curious like me and want the full internet experience without borders or restrictions, check out Surfshark. Go to surfshark.com/Alice or use code ALICE at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. Stay safe and stay curious. Now let's go back to the video. Jean-Luc Antoine Pierre Mélenchon was born on August 19, 1951 in Tangier, Morocco, in a Franco-Spanish family. At the time, Tangier was an international hub, a crossroads of cultures,
I'm just gonna watch
and
a couple
ideas.
of things
His
like on
childhood was
these.
shaped by the spirit of diversity. His mother, a school
I've got a
teacher,
couple of
moved
videos
the
lined up I
family
wanna
to
watch.
France, first to Normandy, then to Lons-le-Saunier in the Jura region. There, Mélenchon discovered rural
You hate France and Germany?
harsh, sometimes conservative, and marked by social inequalities that could be
The
later
French, if this is like what she's talking about, if this left wing guy gets in, actually gets into government to take like control of it, there'll be a big difference in France. A lot better as well.
fuel his political anger.
But
He
if
earned a
Le Pen gets in, it'll be
degree in philosophy
will
in
never get in,
Besançon and
yeah.
worked as a proofreader in the printing.
I know, because Macron, like, did he endorse the right, the far right of like the French,
industry.
Marine Le Pen's
Then he
party,
briefly tried teaching and
rather than
eventually
like
turned
go
to
with
politics.
a socialist
Mélenchon got involved
left-wing
early.
party?
At 17, he joined the OCI, a Trotskyist organization of Lambertist orientation. There he learned ideological discipline, but also the art of political strategy and debate. In 1976, he joined the Socialist Party, so the center-left party in France, following François Mitterrand's call for left-wing unity. For
Like,
Mélenchon,
what he did, this guy, what he did when the elections came up, the fact that he like brought all the left wing parties together just to get the majority in there was such a smart move. If like more parties did that on the left in the UK, we would be in such a better place. Say more in power than let him or Le Pen's party. Yeah.
It was a way to advance his ideas within the Republican framework. The man quickly became a prominent local figure in Essonne. In 1986, at age 35, he was elected senator, one of the youngest ever. From that moment, he became the Mélenchon we know today. Provocative,
Mélenchon.
combative, and cultured. The real turning point came in 2005. The European Constitutional Treaty, supported by most of the Socialist Party, was firmly rejected by Mélenchon. He campaigned for the no vote alongside former communists and outer globalists. French people voted against the treaty, yet the Socialist Party continued as if nothing had happened. For Mélenchon, this was the ultimate betrayal. In 2008, he left the Socialist Party and founded the Left Party, Parti de Gauche. A year later, he joined forces with the French Communist Party to launch the Left Front, le Front de Gauche. The goal was to rebuild a genuine left, independent from the PS, the Socialist Party. His first major challenge was the 2012 presidential election. Jean-Luc Mélenchon embodied a combative left, quoting Victor Hugo and referencing the Paris Commune in powerful speeches. He surprised many with a 11.1% result, and his Bastille rally became a symbol of his rise.
Et où on était passé? Où on était disparu tout ce temps?
However, he failed to build a broader coalition, and in the following legislative elections, he ran against Marine Le Pen in Hénin-Beaumont and lost. It was a personal blow. Then in 2016, Mélenchon embraced a new political adventure on his own. He created La France Insoumise, France Unbowed. France Unbowed is more a movement than a party. There's no membership cards, it's organized around action groups, and it has a strong base online. Its message, anti-establishment and openly radical. So Mélenchon ran again in the 2017 presidential elections. Many described his campaign as spectacular. He spoke to the youth, the working class, and those who had given up on voting. The results? 19.6% of the vote. He overtook the Socialist Party's candidate and became the new face of the radical left. But criticisms also intensified, among them controversies regarding his stances on the police, ambiguities on secularism, and accusations of authoritarianism within the movement.
La République, c'est moi!
Nevertheless, in 2022, Jean-Luc Mélenchon launched his third presidential campaign. At 70 years old, he adopted a calmer, more educational tone. He leaned heavily on his program, L'Avenir en commun, a future in common, refined since 2016. As I said in the introduction, he narrowly missed the runoff, scoring 21.95% of the vote, just a few 100,000 votes behind Marine Le Pen, who qualified for the second round against Emmanuel Macron. What's clear there is that despite his defeat, Mélenchon clearly outpaced all other left-wing candidates.
Would the Americans try and get a regime change? I don't think they can, because Xi Jinping, his hold on power in there is too great. I think the Americans have tried and are still trying to get a regime change, but I don't think it would work, because Xi Jinping has a grip on what happens. It's like he's done it before, where he'll just throw members of the Communist Party out and just replace them for people who are more closer to him in the past. So any form of corruption, in the Communist Party, or CCP, I'll just call it, usually gets it dealt with pretty fast.
Du combat s'ouvre.
Part 2, Mélenchon's vision. Even those who don't agree with Mélenchon recognize his many talents. Political commentators often compare him to a tribune. He's good at public speaking and influence people with his intellect. But beyond the leader, there's a movement, a program, a detailed...
If anything, what you will see is more of a Taiwanese shift towards China is what I'm betting on. You'll probably see Taiwan's government have a more closer approach with China, because I imagine Chinese delegations will put people in power or fund campaigns in Taiwan for pro-China Taiwanese governments. That's what you'll see. But right now the West has that going on, so the West is controlling Taiwan.
Plan to replace neoliberalism. So let's dive into it, theme by theme. First, an ecology of class struggle. Jean-Luc Mélenchon doesn't talk about ecology in terms of small lifestyle changes. He champions eco-socialism, so a radical approach that ties the environmental crisis to the fight against capitalism and social injustice. He said, quote, "Ecology without class struggle is like gardening." In his manifesto, The Future in Common, Mélenchon proposes ecological planning, a form of Green New Deal but much more ambitious, kind of like post-war planification which helped rebuild Europe, but green. This message resonated especially with younger generation, demanding both climate justice and economic justice. It has, for example, forced the Green Party to adopt a more radical stance too, in order to retain its supporters fed up with the party's green capitalism. This is an example of Franz and Baude's ability to shift the Overton window to the left and force other left-wing parties to adapt. You see, your proposition is perceived as radical only if there are no less radical alternatives on the left. So if everyone adopts this radical position, then it's no longer perceived as radical. That's why Mélenchon is very vocal about his disagreements with the center-left. By publicizing his disagreements, he encourages voters to question all the left-wing parties and demand more of them. By doing so, he progressively shifts the Overton window towards more radical measures and positions Franz and Baude as the center of attention and innovation. Speaking of innovation, Mélenchon strongly believes that it is time to profoundly change the French constitution.
Control-Alt-Delete.
Just to give you a little bit of context, the French Fifth Republic is the current form of government in France. It was set up in 1958 following a major political crisis linked to the Algerian War. It replaced the less stable Fourth Republic, introducing a much stronger executive branch with expanded powers for the president. This system
The thing is, like I said, with Taiwan, it won't be a war. It'll be more of a political game. Like they'll be, China will fund a party in Taiwan probably to gain power in Taiwan, and then they have a more pro-China government in which will then get ties with China and eventually just like wick Taiwan into like a Chinese state. I think that's what will happen. I think China's way too smart to like just do a full-on attack. Like, yeah, it's like China's way too smart to just like full-on attack and start a war. It would just be bad for China's economy. A war would. So what they'll do, they'll just prop up a pro-Chinese government. Yeah, since they're so close, yeah.
Features of both parliamentary and presidential governments, which is why it's called a...
I mean, I'm not too like caught up on the history of Taiwan, but I believe, now I could be wrong about this, but wasn't it like invaded by like Japan and then in control of Japan? I can't remember. A breakaway province, China claims. Oh, so since the end of the Chinese Civil War, it was governed separately from China. I was wrong about the Japanese. But yeah, like if China does attack Taiwan, America has already said, well, under Joe Biden, they said they would fight China. So it would just be a war with China. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's it. It's just funding proxy wars, isn't it? That's what big countries do now. And if it's like a proxy war through another country, then they can't really do anything about it. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. That's what they'll do. And that's what they'll continue to do. I mean, they're already doing it in Africa. China's like funding a bunch of African stuff. And you've got, I forget the name of the country in Africa. It's like Russia's propped up a government there. Yeah, I was just reading that. But I think that's, I would say that's propaganda. I'd just say that's like America doing like a Red Scare like they were with the Russians or the Soviet Union. Because America is like very anti-communist. And very anti-China, so they would try and put all the like the blame on China when it comes to these type of things. And I'm not saying China's a good country after all.
Any presidential republic, Charles de Gaulle became its
But I don't think
president.
China would attack Taiwan. I don't think that's gonna happen.
And played a key role in shaping how the system functions. Now, Mélenchon
They
doesn't like the Fifth Republic. He sees it as a, quote, presidential
like,
monarchy,
destroy their
outdated
economy.
and undemocratic. And he's not wrong. As an example, the recent Bonn government under Macron bypassed parliament 23 times thanks to Article 49.3. So to put it simply, Bonn's government under Macron said you to the parliament 23 times. That's why Mélenchon calls for a sixth republic with a new constitution written by citizens to strengthen democracy. He wants to introduce citizens' referendums, the right to recall elected officials, as well as the end of the president's concentration of power, so the end of that 49.3 article. He says, quote, "We want to move from a presidential monarch to a people's democracy." This institutional revolution, what he calls a citizen revolution, is a defining part of his political identity. It's at the core of his recently translated book, Now the People. Actually, during that press tour, Mélenchon met Twitch streamer Hassan Piker, you know, the very popular
That was a good
socialist
interview. I
Twitch
watched
streamer.
that.
As he gave him the book, Mélenchon said to Hassan that he was not like the other Americans, that he was a good guy. As most French people, Mélenchon loves to complain about the US. You know, Mélenchon carries with him the long left-wing tradition of peace. That's why he's critical of organizations like NATO and the EU, which he calls the US vassal. Unlike many on the left, Mélenchon has been openly critical of the European Union treaties, especially their neoliberal foundations. He led the No campaign against the EU constitution in 2005. During a presidential debate in 2017, he said that, quote, "Europe must be changed or left." Now, just to make it clear, he doesn't advocate for a Frexit, but insists on
There's a
reclaiming
video on
democratic
Bosch talking about it. We'll watch that in a minute.
control over key policies. In fact, Franz Belt has managed to send 9 party members to the European Parliament.
Did you see
in
Pete
the last
Hegseth
election. The socialist MEPs have worked on defending the movement's socialist vision and anti-war advocacy as part of the group, the left. On an international
will probably
level,
have
Mélenchon
more
wants
insight than
France
I
to
would.
reclaim sovereign, non-aligned diplomacy,
I'm pretty
breaking
new
with
to
the
the
US-led
politics game.
military alliances. He's an
In the
advocate
history
of
of,
a
like, the
multilateral
two
world
states.
based on UN law, not bloc logic. This stance
Or the
drew
two
him a lot of
countries, I should say.
criticism. Members of France Unbowed are regularly questioned about Ukraine as they encourage de-escalation and diplomatic solutions, while other left-wing parties, like the Socialist Party or its new Instagram-friendly version, Place Publique, seems to prefer a military solution.
Collectif européen de 500 milliards.
Ça veut dire seulement de l'argent européen, Raphaël
C'est ce qu'on est en train de
pour se réarmer.
discuter.
Mélenchon has also often been criticized for his political relationships with South America. He sees it as a region of resistance to neoliberalism, often referring to it as a laboratory for alternative political and economic models. In 2019, he said, quote, "Latin America is the place where people dared to rise. So of course they want to crush them." Some affiliations have been questioned.
What are
though.
these
Mélenchon
cuts? Why was she outside with a hammer and a
openly
chair?
supported Hugo Chavez and initially defended Nicolás Maduro, especially when the Venezuelan government was under attack from the US and its allies. However, the crisis in Venezuela worsened with inflation, authoritarianism, political repression, and mass immigration, so Mélenchon came under heavy criticism for being too lenient or ambiguous. Now, what Mélenchon liked about those regimes and leaders is their ability to reclaim their sovereignty against Western imperialism and its modern forms like the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, then led by former French minister Christine Lagarde. She was actually featured in the latest Financial Times Women edition. Let me just get my copy. There she is. We love a neoliberal girl boss. My American viewers might not know her, but my Greek and South American viewers They know her very well, and they do not have fond memories of her. In Brazil, for
not
example,
really. I
President
like the
Lula
UK.
was very critical of the IMF, and
Like, I got a job here. I've got friends here, family. So I'm sweet.
because once enemies becomes
I'm
your
comfortable.
best friend, Lula and Mélenchon really got along. Here you can see Mélenchon traveling to Brazil to meet Lula when he was imprisoned. This video is titled Vlog in Brazil with Lula, political prisoner, #StopLawfare. As you can see, the leader of France Unbowed films his trip like a typical influencer, which leads me to my next point. Mélenchon revolutionized
like,
political campaigning.
Just going for a walk outside in like the countryside out here in Yorkshire is just it's beautiful in the summer.
With digital tools and grassroots media.
Very nice.
The vlog I have just showed you was posted 5 years ago and has since inspired other politicians, including Emmanuel Macron, to
The only thing I
also
wish I
use that
had living in the UK is a garden, so I could actually like get some plants and stuff growing, grow my own vegetables and stuff like that.
medium. Mélenchon
Because
turned
I'm
to his
living in
YouTube
like
channel
this
as an
apartment.
alternative media.
It's a
In
there's no
2019,
garden.
he said, quote, "If they won't put you on TV, build your own media." On it, you find vlogs, video essay type of content, speeches, TV interventions, etc., etc. His goal is to democratize political knowledge and bring leftist ideas into the online mainstream. So Mélenchon is not anti-tech, quite the contrary. His movement, France Unbowed, and its think tank, the La Boétie Institute, devotes a lot of time to understanding the challenges technology poses on
As
people.
a left-wing person, you have to do this. You have to reach out like on social media as best you can, because like the mainstream media will not have like left-leaning people on their programs since they're funded by like backers that like want to push like a more centrist or centrist right, center-right policies. But there's big cats in UK. Haven't you heard about them? I don't think we have those. I haven't seen any.
Use technology in alignment with their socialist ideals and
I'm gonna be
electoral
honest with
goals.
you.
For example, in 2017, Mélenchon went viral after conducting multiple rallies at the same time by multiplying himself as a hologram. Mélenchon knows how to get the attention of the public and can rely on a community of serial meme makers to ensure virality.
Est-ce que c'est pas le moment de dire que le problème, c'est celui de ceux qui...
What is this? But no, I haven't seen any, and if they are being released, like they usually get captured pretty fast.
gavent, c'est celui de ceux qui se gavent, c'est celui de ceux qui se gavent.
France Unbowed uses social media to connect with potential voters
That was cringe. That was hard to watch.
and counter mischaracterizations from the media. They use memes and trends to game the algorithm and redirect people towards their program, explainers, courses, and conferences. It's popular education for the 21st century, redistributing knowledge using the technologies available. Speaking of redistribution, let's talk about another core feature of France Unbowed: redistribution of wealth.
My favorite.
Mélenchon brought class politics back to political discourse and also back to left-wing politics, which had become increasingly neoliberal friendly. As an example, France Unbowed forced the 2024 Popular Front Alliance to campaign around their proposition to raise the minimum wage from 1,400 euros a month to 1,600 euros a month. During the last presidential campaigns, Mélenchon reintroduced the idea of tax the rich, an idea so popular it was copied by the center-left party as a way to bring back younger voters who had left. Once again, France Unbowed set the standards for the left, and in a moment we'll explain how they managed to do so consistently. But let's go back to the social measures. Raising minimum wage, taxing the rich, freezing inflation on essentials like food and fuel, which is, remember, what started the Yellow Vests movement a few years ago. Mélenchon also fiercely defended public services like schools, hospitals, but also more specialized services like shelters, legal aid, and psychological care for victims of SA. He views those services as the backbone of social justice and national unity. For him, it's a matter of patriotism. He says, quote, "We must take common goods out of the hands of the market." As you can see, the common is at the heart of Mélenchon's politics, and that also includes civil liberties. Mélenchon drew criticism when he tweeted, quote, "The police kill." Franz van Baerle stood against police violence during the Yellow Vest movements, during the eco-protests in Sainte-Soline, during the anti-retirement reform protests, or when the young Nahel Merzouk was killed by a police officer. His support earned him respect from young activists and marginalized communities who are the main victims of police violence and intimidation. Speaking of marginalized communities, Mélenchon believes that hierarchies between different ethnic and religious communities are deeply harmful. France is not a pure identity, but a nation shaped
I haven't
by
seen
constant
any.
mixing
I've
of
walked through
languages, cultures,
the
and
malls and
histories.
the
He borrowed from Caribbean writer Édouard Glissant the concept of creolization
in
and
Yorkshire
introduced
plenty of
it
times.
into French political discourse. Creolization describes the ongoing mixing
But usually,
and fusion
if they are like Romy free, they usually get reported.
of different peoples, languages, traditions, and ways of life to create something new and shared.
And
Mélenchon
captured.
sees creolization not as a loss of identity, but as a creative process of mutual enrichment. For him, it's the antidote to both assimilation, which erases differences, and communitarism, which isolates identities. In his view, France is an already creolized nation, shaped by centuries of migration, colonial history, and its resulting cultural blending. Politically, creolization reflects Mélenchon's vision of a universalist republic, open to all backgrounds, but rooted in common civic values. In recent years, Franz van Baerle has been the only party to take a serious stance against rising Islamophobia, including opposing laws that target the Muslim community specifically, such as the proposed ban on the hijab in sports competitions. Now, all the themes that we have covered, eco-socialism, the Sixth Republic, popular sovereignty, digital politics, redistribution, and civil liberties, are essential to Mélenchon's movement. They reflected the needs and demands of a society hurt by decades of neoliberalism. As I said in the introduction, Franz van Baerle was created in 2016. That means that the movement is only 10 years old. In 10 years, Franz van Baerle has completely reshaped French left-wing politics. The movement has forced other left-wing parties to clarify their stances on capitalism, war, redistribution, police violence, and racism. In just 10 years, they have imposed themselves as the French left at home and abroad. Now, how did they do so? Well, their success is the result of the nature of the movement. Franz van Baerle is what we can call an organic movement. What do we mean by organic? Well, let's use a metaphor here, the fungi. I know it's not very sexy, but you'll see what I mean. Well, Franz van Baerle is like a fungi.
Yeah, if you had knife crime.
It exists in a network of social movements and social relations represented as different trees with their own networks. It recognizes that society...
But like, it wouldn't matter, but against a knife, but I've done like, boxing and stuff like that, so I have a good idea of how to defend myself. Since I did like amateur boxing, I went around like England fighting in different clubs, so I have an idea of like self-defense. But still, knife crime and stuff like that is still pretty bad in the UK.
Is built from its organisms. The trees communicate with one another, shape their environment, grow and die, return to the soil, leaving a trace and fueling future life. Gosh, I'm really bringing poetics to politics in this one. The role of Franz van Baerle is to be in constant dialogue with old and new social movements, so in dialogue with the different organisms engaged in the formation of what we call society. They believe that ideology shouldn't trickle down onto living beings. It shouldn't be forced onto them with demagogy or military force. Instead, it should emerge from the organisms of society rooted in the real. The role of the movement is to then pick up the messages sent by those organisms to then translate them into a program to be communicated massively through...
Alright, we get it. Okay. Alright. This is Bosch talking about the China thing. Like, I haven't really heard much
China's
about
threat
it.
to the region is imminent. Yeah, of course.
Let's see what he says about it.
I mean, funnily enough, like Trump might be doing more to deter China from invading Taiwan than any previous administration by self-crippling and by forcing countries like South Korea and Japan to have trade talks with China. Like, we're actually providing China a different method for regional conquest, you know?
Yeah, like he's right about that. Like, it was like, I think Japan the other day saying they were gonna do closer trade with China, so that's the win for China because Trump's putting tariffs on everybody.
We need to risk a fucking invasion if we are so exclusionary and incompetent that we just drive their enemies into their hands. So that's nice of us. Yeah, at this rate, Taiwan will want to join China, exactly. Pete Hegseth has warned of China posing imminent threat to Taiwan, blah, 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 blah. So what, let me guess, more military spending?
Yeah, that's what'll
Speaking
happen.
at the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore, Hegseth characterized China as seeking to become a hegemonic power that hopes to dominate and control too many parts of Asia. Blah, 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 blah. He said Beijing was credibly prepared to potentially...
I actually had a full brain scan in Germany because I have I have really bad short-term memory. And I struggle to remember things. I forget things easily. So I went to, I don't know what you would call them. I went to a specialist who scans like brains and stuff. Had all my brains scanned. Went into like the big fucking thing. I don't know what you call it. What like they scan you with. Went into that. Had it all scanned. Brain was absolutely fine. The doctor was like, "Yeah, you've got no problems." I was like, "What could it be?" He was like, "It's probably ADHD that you have." And I was like, "Okay, that explains a lot." But yeah, my brain is fine.
To alter the balance of power in Asia and referred to a 2027 deadline President Xi Jinping has allegedly given the China's military to be capable of invading Taiwan. China's military is currently capable of invading Taiwan. Xi Jinping might set deadlines for continued readiness, but like it's...
You would want? Yeah, I can get an airsoft. I think you can actually just buy an airsoft gun in the UK. I don't think you need a permit for it. Or a... No, you don't need a license for one. Replica needs to ensure that you have a legitimate reason for purchasing, but they can sell you one. It's typically known as an airsoft defense. Yeah, okay, so we don't need because I know a lot of people who do like airsoft.
It's not as though if they tried to right now they could.
There's actually not there's a place that's not too far from where I am, and I can go there and I can like pay for the day.
When China will obviously win. Why is everything 2027?
I did a scan,
it could
like
be a coincidence, but my guess is that we're trying to hit that right balance of like the deadline for military readiness is far enough away that we have time to do something, but not so close that it would justify immediate action, you know? Because we don't want war with China, but we do want a fearmonger war with China. China is building the military needed to do it, training for it every day and rehearsing for the real deal. Again, like, you know, the whole fascists need the energy to always be strong and weak. So China is strong enough to be considered like a mega threat by the United States, but weak enough that they need multiple years more military readiness before they're capable of invading Taiwan, the tiny coastal nation, right off their border. It just doesn't hold up to scrutiny. Obviously, China can invade and conquer Taiwan right now. The only thing that could stop them would be our involvement, and maybe not even that, just because of how close the two of them are. It's really just a matter of like, you know, do they want to? Have you seen the Chinese Pentagon video? It cost 100 times what our Pentagon is and is huge. What? 100 times what our Pentagon cost? That can't be real.
China is preparing for war. It is building an entire city for this purpose, about 30 kilometers southwest of Beijing. A new military complex is coming up. They're calling it the Beijing Military City. Construction is already underway, and like most things Chinese, the scale is dramatic.
Okay.
It's a massive facility.
Why the f is this in vertical format when it's...
Okay. Yeah, you got the top up there. I was thinking this.
That is 10 times largest military command center, and it's going to be an underground...
Yeah, China is not attacking Taiwan anytime soon. It's not going to happen. Like, anybody who's, like, fearing that it's not going to happen. China could have done it ages ago, there's not much stopping them from like just taking Taiwan, but it would be bad for their economy because sanctions would be placed on them by probably most European countries and the US. So in the end, it would just end up hurting them more. So it's like, what's the point? It hits them more in the long run. You want an airsoft gun? You could. Would you buy a real gun?
Facility
nah, I have no
complete with
interest in real
large
guns.
underground tunnel. A foolproof. But as rapid military challenge.
What's the source on any
Like,
of
I
this?
think it would be fun to go to a shooting range and shoot a real gun, but buying a gun, I don't think it doesn't really interest me. I'm not really a gun nut, in the sense I was when I was like younger because I thought they were cool, but now it's just like it's just a gun. There's nothing really about it that really like cool.
This is all happening.
I'm more into like archery. If I had to like go with something. In a gun accident, yeah, I feel like I would do the same.
Here's some
shooting my
like
foot
stock
off or
video
something like that.
footage. No, I don't. USDA prime slot, yeah. From first post, right. Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, like I think if I had to like get into anything like that in terms of shooting, it would probably be archery because it's just like a more skillful form. Just like having a bow or a compound bow or a longbow and go into like range shootings or competitions would be just like really cool.
Doing some Musk black eye conspiracism, which I will also do. This from Business Insider. Trust them a little more. Satellite images show Beijing Military City, the secretive command center China's building. It may be the world's largest.
I think owning a gun for self-defense doesn't really work because most of the time that people get attacked is out on the street when you're not allowed to carry a gun. So I don't think owning the gun is gonna deter anybody. Sure, it'll make you feel safer in your home, but I think having a gun at home is just, I don't know, I don't think there's really much use for it. No, they don't want gun rights. I don't want gun rights.
Well, hold on, that doesn't really compare.
People should have guns in their homes.
Compared to the Pentagon,
because people are flawed and like crazy and would always shoot each other. Like if someone like makes too much noise, their neighbor, they'll just shoot their neighbor for no reason, other than just they made noise.
The Pentagon is
I
a
just
single
don't think we should
building,
have
not a
guns at
facility.
all in this country.
I mean, it is a facility, but it's not like, okay, it doesn't count if you're chaining it across multiple buildings. The Pentagon is very, very large. I've driven past it. It takes ages. Secretly building a military.
Like me or you, we may be like in the right mind that, hey, I'm not going to shoot an innocent civilian with a gun that I own. But there are people out there, if they own that gun, they'll just shoot people. Just because they can, if they have a bad day.
A command center that is expected to dwarf the Pentagon in size. Analysts and researchers said the facility could be used as a nuclear bunker for Chinese officials. What? Okay. Okay. This doesn't pass the sniff test for me at all. Not even close. Why do we talk about China this way? Okay. For one, China has already built nuclear bunkers. Nuclear bunkers are not new technology. America was building them in the 50s. Okay. The implication here is that China is preparing nuclear.
I think because the police are trained to own their guns, I would trust a policeman more with a gun on duty. An on-duty police officer having a gun wouldn't bother me as much. I've like been around police with guns, like police officers carrying MP5s. They did like a raid on my neighbor's home because they thought he had a bomb. He didn't. But Yeah, there was like a police raid, and they were all armed police with like MP5s, and they were just really nice people. It was like no problem. They were very professional.
Bunkers because they're preparing for war and want to be ready for nuclear reprisal. I promise you, Mao was building nuclear bunkers. It's not hard. It's literally concrete underground. So like we're treating them like,
yeah, because they're trained trigger discipline. They're not gonna just shoot anybody who runs. They're gonna tell them to stop, get on the ground, and if they don't get on the ground, they'll pursue them. They're not gonna shoot an unarmed civilian as a civilian with a gun would do, and they would just panic and shoot someone.
Oh, well, they finally discovered nuclear bunker tech. No,
like if there's an incident in the street, say there's like, we'll create like a scenario. If there's like 4 gun owners in the street, and just like some random psychopath starts shooting in the street at people, one of those 4 people will aim for the, what do you call it? The person who's shooting, the psychopath, and then he'll open fire. If he's like crazy enough to do so, and then there's a chance that another one of those gun owners who isn't the psychopath will shoot the other gun owner because they're unaware and they're untrained. So it's not wise to have like that much of a mess and people walking around with guns every day.
Also, secretly building.
There's just too much probability of like bad shit happening if you let the public have guns.
A military command center? How is it secret? And I like the direct comparison with the Pentagon.
And just like people having knives right now just goes to show how like crazy people are. If someone's willing to go out on the street and stab someone, then if they had a gun, they could take down more people than just the one they want to stab.
Which, by the way, also there to fearmonger, as though there's a relationship between the size of your like military headquarters and the strength of your military. There might be in a kind of broad correlative sense, but like this is fearmongering language. I hate this shit. I despise the way we talk about China. You know, everyone be fearful. Look, they're building a facility that dwarfs the Pentagon. I bet it even has nuclear bunkers. Everything has nuclear bunkers. The White House does. I guarantee you the Pentagon does. And they were built a long time ago. Why would they why wouldn't they have that? Why wouldn't the Pentagon have nuclear bunkers?
I trust them with CAS. You can't conceal a CAS. If someone's approaching you with a CAS on like a busy street, or they're driving down fast, you have a chance to get out of the way. Like if you see people getting run over, there's a chance for you to just like run out of the way and get out of there. With a gun, they'll just like, it's concealed, they'll just pull it out, and then more people will be dead. I mean, you're right, like there are crazy people who drive cars, as we saw with the recently in Liverpool. Like, there are people who can do that, but the amount of times it's happened with cars is by far less than what it would happen, than what would have. It's far less with cars than if we had guns. There'll be more gun violence on the streets. I hope I phrased that correctly. I feel like my brain shut down. I don't think that's the case.
In China, they call this the bunker.
Because you have in America, we had like so many school shootings happening, and they weren't afraid of getting shot.
That of which prevents nuclear attacks. It has much cultural significance in their culture.
I'm just not for guns. If someone like puts up a bill for guns, I would 100% vote against that. Guns should not be allowed in the public's hands. And we can see that just from like people using knives. People should not be given dangerous weaponry.
Also, how is it secret? It's not like our satellites can't see into China whenever we want, you know? Sure, give me the deets.
China is building the world's biggest military command center, 10 times the size of the Pentagon. Intelligence analysts call it Beijing's military city, sitting 18 miles southwest of the capital. Experts believe its main purpose is to prepare for a war with the US, with bomb-proof bunkers designed.
Who said this is a better video? What experts? What experts? What experts are saying that China's building this to prepare for war with the US? Which experts? Hegseth? Why the fuck would the Chinese government, who consider themselves the current holders of a 4 millennia long legacy, want to initiate war that would eradicate their country? China has survived war, famine, civil war, plague, whatever. It would not survive nuclear holocaust. You well, it was a wonderful civilizational long run, longest in human history, but no, we're gonna toast that by risking nuclear exchange with America. Oh, look, we built a big bunker, that'll save us. Wait, come on. Sorry, once you learn to recognize the way we talk about China, keep in mind, by the way, this antagonism with China is a post Y2K invention. We had good relations with China for a long time. It was literally just once the Cold War ended and we can no longer use the Soviet Union as a foreign enemy to justify our military expansion, we needed a new superpower that we could blame. So we pointed to China. That's it. All of the rhetoric about China being like crazy antagonistic and like an enemy of the United States and so on and so forth, that was, we initiated it. We did it.
I said this like with the Red Scare like propaganda they had with the Soviet Union. It's just Americans like creating propaganda around China to try and like create this threat.
When did the US have good relations with China? After Nixon. After Nixon, we wedged China against the Soviet Union. The Sino-Soviet split, there were enormous disagreements between them, and we maintained pretty decent relations with China in an effort to kind of help contain Soviet influence, and the Soviet Union collapsed. China kept on going. Then at some point we decided, like, I guess we need to make them an enemy, otherwise we'll never be able to justify.
I don't think it's discrimination against vulnerable people. I just think we need better checks on things. Like, just because you carry a gun doesn't mean you're safer. It just means that if you're allowed to carry a gun and another person's allowed to carry a gun, and then that just puts you on this kind of thing where you would be even more unsafe. So, like, why would you carry a gun in the first place? The reason you would carry a gun is to stop another person who's carrying a gun. It's self-defense. Like, I don't think giving people the rights to carry guns is gonna help make the world a safer place. It's not gonna help at all. There just needs to be more checks on what people are, like, carrying around and what people are allowed to buy and sell. Yeah, and if, like, criminals have guns, then the state needs to get on that and, like, arrest those people who are carrying illegal guns. This is a problem with that's like a failure of the government and the police force.
Just keep in mind this, like, we did so much to construct the world we're now in, where military experts are offering their opinion on this. Why are they building this mega facility? Oh, it's like to declare war on us or something. Why the chicken cross the road? Well, I mean, you don't have to arrest them all at the same time. You just gotta, like, start
doing raids and busts on these like houses and stuff that are housing these criminals or these gangs.
From a nuclear attack.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Do you seriously think they don't already have nuclear bunkers? Do you seriously think the 20 trillion GDP China with their enormous military and nuclear arsenal doesn't already? Oh my god. Oh my!
It may be like some criminals like embedded in the police force, like police officers taking bribes, but like, I imagine the majority of the police force do not do that, and they're pretty anti-crime.
God, dude, they already have nuclear bunkers. We're so racist against them, man.
New satellite images show China is building fast. In 2022,
but it's secret. Here are a bunch of
new satellite images show China is building.
Here are a bunch of satellite images where we're carefully observing the construction of this facility over multiple years, but it's like a top secret facility, okay? It's top secret. You're sounding like Hassan right now. I'm sorry. Then if that's the case, then Hassan's right about this. This is insane fear-mongering rhetoric. It's psychotic. Do you really not think it's insane that this video is implying that the leaders of the CCP did not have nuclear shields before now, that they had no bunkers to hide in? Like, if there was a nuclear war today, all the members of the Chinese Communist Party would be like, oh, if only we had spent the trillions of dollars that cycle through our economy faster, we could have built nuclear bunkers, a technology that we developed over half a century ago. We could have been safe. Like, seriously? It's crazy.
Building fast. In 2022, you can still see some residential homes. A year later, gone.
Okay.
In 2024, construction took off, with deep holes sprawling 1,500 acres.
Like, of course, there's going to be criminals who have illegal guns, but at the end of the day, they're illegal. And once the police get into these, like, they send, like, undercover agents into these types of groups, and then they get busted. The groups, that is. Like, where am I from? I'm from England. I'm British, bruv, innit? Even though I don't sound like I got a British accent. Yeah, I'm from England. But yeah, like, when it comes to illegal ownership of weapons, then it's something like the government and the police need to crack down on, which I imagine they have, and they have been doing with knife crime as well. Why don't you have a British accent? My brain's broken. That's why. I grew up watching American movies, playing American video games, that my brain was like, I like that accent. So now I'm here. You have no strong case? I don't want people to get shot in the street by some crazy person. That's my strong case. Gun ownership, bad.
Imagery analysts say that these blue areas.
If you think gun ownership is good, just move to America, and there you have it. You have your gun ownership.
Probably covered
or
with.
Move to a country that allows gun ownership. But if that's the case in England, I would not want gun ownership in England.
Fabric,
I don't think
or
it
a mix
should
of
be a
seed
thing.
and mulch that prevent the displaced soil from blowing around.
That's my
There
view
are at
on it.
least 100
They should not be
cranes that
made,
work
legal.
daily. China is mostly keeping the project secret, banning drones or any pictures of the complex.
Is that secret? I think it's pretty normal.
No, they would just be more at risk, because then the things that they were at risk before is now increased a greater, because the person they were at risk at now has a gun. The vulnerable person having a gun now is not like less threatened. They're actually more threatened because they could be shot from a distance.
Not have drones or random.
Them having a gun is not going to solve the problem of being less vulnerable. It's actually going to increase the problem because someone else could have a gun.
Civilian photographers enter government construction sites. Like,
guns don't like increase the chance of protection. It increases the chances of being shot.
That secret? I mean, it's
like,
very normal.
There was an American guy I used to game with, and he told me the only reason he owns a gun is because his neighbor owns a gun. That's the only reason he had a gun. And he had like an M4 or some shit. I can't remember what he said. So like, the idea that he felt unsafe that his neighbor had a gun, so he had a gun, And then it's just like this constant standoff. It's like, oh, well, if you shoot me, I'll shoot you. AR-15? I don't know what he had. I can't remember. He said he had a gun.
I think, like, we do the exact same thing. Yeah, we ban drones at airports.
No, I don't agree with that. I don't think guns should be legal.
Insane language, this like hyper paranoid militant language.
According to reports,
there would just be way more shootings and way more deaths than there is with knife crime. We have it bad now with knife crime in the UK.
Chinese embassy in Washington has said they're not aware of the details. U.S. intelligence officials say they're monitoring the situation, and President Trump is calling for a next.
People in the middle of nowhere should wait for police to come save them. Yeah, that's what the police are there for.
Iron Dome, a missile defense
I mean,
shield
it's an unfortunate thing to happen if you get attacked in the middle of nowhere, but it's like if the person who were attacking them had a gun, it would be over way faster.
The U.S. Meanwhile, China is...
See how easily this fear-mongering propagandistic bullshit fits in with the fascist nonsense this administration pushes? Like, it's like, oh, well, wait, hold on, okay, so Trump's psychotic Golden Dome system is really just a response to Chinese military aggression, you know?
Is growing its nuclear arsenal. The Pentagon projects it could have 1,500 operational nuclear warheads by 2035, almost matching the United States.
It is true. They are growing their nuclear arsenal. Thank you for this not at all meant to inspire fear YouTube video. Are they supposed to ask permission from the US? Okay. At least the comments aren't all falling for it. Guys, you don't understand how dangerous China is. How exceptionally dangerous. As a matter of fact, soon, in 10 years, there might have as many nukes as we already have. Okay. What are these? What is this other video that I was provided to explain the situation? This is 26 minutes long and it's not from a news source. Play World
I
of
just
Warships.
don't. I just don't think having like people have guns increases safety. I think that's crazy to think that. I think other people having guns increases the danger in like your everyday life.
Cappy Army. Why CIA
Than
says
people
China's
not having
prepping for
guns.
massive invasion. I'm not here to shit on this guy. And look, I'm not saying that China isn't militaristic or warmongering or have expansionist ambitions, because they do. All those things are true, okay? I'm just saying, like, it's really fucking weird that China building a big military facility, building their own Pentagon, is being treated as this, like, experts say they're doing this to nuke the US. They didn't previously have nuclear bunkers, but I bet they're building them now, and they're gonna use them to hide when they nuke the US. Like, okay. What is the current Chinese equivalent to the Pentagon? How old is it? What's their current, like, main army headquarters building?
In the middle of nowhere, no safety, alone in field.
Where do they hide? Or where do they keep their
safety? I just don't think like having guns.
Because I just googled Chinese military facility, and all I'm seeing is the
having
articles
guns
on the
does
stuff
not
that we
increase
just saw.
safety.
Oh, here's one from Straight Arrow News.
There's too many crazy people in the world to like.
China is building the world's largest military command center, at least 10 times bigger than the Pentagon. That's what some U.S. intelligence officers told the Financial Times. Satellite images obtained by the news outlet show about a 1,500-acre site just southwest of Beijing. Those intel officers believe this complex could be a doomsday bunker for the People's Liberation Army's top brass.
Why are you watching so many videos about China? We brought up China earlier as like it being an imminent threat to Taiwan, but I think we've kind of like gotten past that and just decided that it wasn't the case, because it's just America fear-mongering, kind of like giving the Red Scare as they did with the Soviet Union. Even though the Soviet Union was much more aggressive than or is much more aggressive than China is in terms of how they used to deal with things. But let's watch Zach's interview on Turn Left, who's running for Green leadership. But yeah, it's just a bunch of nonsense when it comes to like China gonna invade Taiwan. They wouldn't do it because it'd be too much of a risk for China's economy. It would just ruin their like economy completely. Unless everybody just does trade deals with China. Then you've got a better chance. I haven't seen the Venezuela thing with banning guns.
About eco-populism is recognizing we need to challenge power and wealth. There are very few small people, group of people, who are holding far too much power, far too much wealth.
So this is Zach Polanski, if anybody doesn't know who he is. He's the guy who's running for Green leadership at the minute. Hopefully he gets it, and then the Green candidate will be pretty strong for the Green Party.
And power, just like
I haven't
should be
seen
redistributed. We don't win the conversation about migration by giving an inch to the right. And, you know, Keir Starmer, if you're being generous, has given an inch to the right. I'd say he's given a lot more than an inch. I would never ape Nigel Farage in terms of the things he stands for or the lies he tells. But in the way that he tells a story, I think we need to tell similar stories, but our stories are based in fact. Our stories are based in science. His stories are based in lies and misinformation.
Good way to start.
So I'm here with the Green Party deputy leader, who was standing to be the leader of the party. And it was around 2 weeks ago, or no, 10 days ago, you announced your bid to become leader. I actually think it's good that we're doing this interview now rather than straight away, because quite a lot has happened, right? Now, despite the party making gains in the local elections, it was pretty good. Clearly, you think the party isn't heading in the right direction, otherwise you wouldn't be standing. So what does your candidacy represent?
So I'm talking about bold leadership now, and I can break that down for you. So bold, saying exactly what needs to be said, really standing for things unequivocally, and also just as importantly, being really clear about what we stand against. When I talk about leadership, it's both my leadership, but just as importantly,
he did well the other day as well. He was up against a reform candidate. I believe it was on the BBC. Or an ex-reform candidate, and he just absolutely destroyed him.
I'm talking about grassroots communities.
Like Zach did
where
well
I'm really
on
excited
television.
when I think about who are the future MPs that I've not even met yet. Because of the people, as I've been traveling the country, who are running a food bank or attending the local mosque or at the local school gate, just speaking to people who go, oh, I didn't know the Green Party stood for that. Everyone knows we care about the environment, and that's never going away. But it's linking the environmental issues with people's day-to-day issues, like cost of living issues. Food on the table, heat in the homes, how you get to work, whether you're treated with dignity at work and a fair wage. And then when I say now, this is about not waiting until the general election.
There's the video.
It's not even waiting until the leadership election in August, but actually right now, this week, what happens when lots of people join the Green Party? What happens when lots of people get excited about a real alternative to Labour, who will call them out on their winter fuel payments, on the two-child benefit cap, on the genocide in Gaza, calling out reform when 95% of their donations from oil and gas companies, from climate-denying companies, 2.3 million.
Pause that for a sec. Bring this up. Because this is what he needs to do more of.
Hi guys, this is wonderful. The more I hear from Zach Polanski, the candidate for leader of the Green Party, the more I like. So he appeared on a Sky News panel alongside a former advisor to Nigel Farage on the topic, of course, of the rise of Reform UK.
Oh, Sky
Zach
News
was asked why the populist right appears to be winning over working class people, and have a listen to what Polanski had to say. Perhaps the Green politician has been watching my videos. Just kidding, have a look at this.
Why do you think it is that Nigel Farage is cutting through? Because he is cutting through with working class voters, and it is interesting. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, he definitely is cutting through, so I'm not arguing on that. They're leading the polls at the moment. I think when you have populists, they don't need to talk about facts and information. They can
Which
just
is scary, by the way. Like, Reform is probably going to be the next big party. It's going to be the opposition to Labour in terms of, like, its strength in numbers. It's actually insane. Like, there's more and more people switching to Reform rather than going with Labour, because, like, they're all tired of Labour and the Conservatives.
Story. And a lot of the time, Farage is talking misinformation. On the left, we also need to learn from that. We need to tell powerful stories, but our stories need to be based in data, science, and evidence. So when I talk about Reform's donations and Gawain just goes, no, it's not true, we need people to fact check that. Otherwise, Reform just come on. Who is holding them accountable? Who is making sure that they are not lying to the British public? And who is being transparent about where they're taking money from? And when they
This is good what he's saying. He's like challenging the Reform candidate right here. He's challenging them.
Law. You have to actually
actually state where your money comes from. There is a law.
Yes, which is why we know where it's coming from. So the media don't talk about it enough.
Yeah, this is true. Like, everything so far, like, with reform has been, pretty much buttering up reform to be, like, the good party.
Right, okay. I have to say one thing. One of the reasons the Green Party haven't cut through is they haven't been able to do so. And in many ways, much as I disagree with Zach, he at least fights the fight, and one doesn't see that from your other people in the party. And congratulations on that.
I'll take that as an endorsement.
Well, yeah, fair enough. However,
won't help me though.
There is a point that, as I say, we are not embarrassed. We do not believe that net zero is a good policy in this country.
I think you should be embarrassed to be climate deniers.
I'm proud of wanting this country to...
Yeah, that's good what he's doing right there. He's challenging him and, like, shutting him down and not, like, just letting him speak like a dumbass.
Gosh, in Lincoln, they're going to lose 12,000 jobs because of your mess. Sorry, Alex.
Well said. Well said. In Lincolnshire, they're going to lose 12,000 jobs because of a policy like Nigel Farage's. But the media are not going to call that out. The point here is that the media have been facilitating Nigel Farage over the last number of years. And that needs to end. Because if they don't challenge him, excuse me, he's going to walk right into number 10.
Yeah. That's 100% correct.
Zach made a very important point here at the very beginning. The point that you need to have a message. You need to
He's become the poster boy of UK politics, Farage has. He's the poster boy.
Powerful narrative. Reform UK have that. The left don't seem to have that at the moment. What is the message? What is the vision of the Labour Party? I don't know. I don't think even the Labour Party know. What is the vision or the narrative of the Conservatives? Nobody knows. So at least with Farage, you know what you're voting for. People believe, well, Farage is going to bring down immigration, or he's going to cut taxes, or he's going to reduce regulations. These are the things that people believe Farage is going to do. Now, the point that the media are not challenging him is really important. The left need to have their narrative. They need to have their message, their story. This is what we want to achieve. But if the media are not challenging Farage on his policies, as was pointed out here, then he's going to march right into number 10. He's going to become Prime Minister. Because all he has to do is the media to sit on the sidelines and for the Labour government to fall apart. Why is the media not challenging Farage? I've mentioned this before because I believe...
It's because, like, probably the people who are, like, paying to keep Sky News up, or, like, I'd say, I don't know what you would call them, the donors to these things want to drive a narrative, and Farage just happens to be that narrative that they want to drive. Because he's all pro, like, big corporations and oil and stuff like that. Farage is his party. So they would want to show him in a good light and not in a bad light. So I imagine you won't see him as much, Zach, on television like this, just because he's, like, so against what they stand for. They would rather platform someone from the right more than someone from the left, because the left is pretty much against their ideas and politics.
They actively want him to become Prime Minister because it benefits them. They make money out of this. But also, many journalists don't want to challenge Nigel Farage because he's good for them.
I've given you a reason. If people have, like, if people are armed, then it's going to be more dangerous.
Him, he won't come back on your show. You know, he's in demand at the moment. So you need to pander to him if you want him to come back and do an interview with you again. What needs to happen going forward is the media have to challenge Farage and his policies. They need to call it out. As Zach pointed out here, when it comes to donations, yeah, you have to be transparent with your donations. You have to say where the money is coming from. But the media's job is to find out why that money is going from a particular organization or an individual to your party. the general public don't have the time to go through the parliamentary library.
I don't think guns is going to solve that problem. Giving people weapons is not going to change how safe they are and unsafe. Right on. Like, if people start owning guns, people are going to be more unsafe than what they were than when they didn't own a gun. It's just as simple as that.
The information on the parliamentary website, line by line, to say, okay, this individual gave money to Reform UK, or this organisation gave money to Reform UK. They don't have the time to do that. That's the media's job. So the media should be asking...
they don't come fitted with bombs and guns. That's one of the main things. If drones came fitted with bombs and guns, then yeah, they should be banned. But if you're just having a drone, then I don't see the problem with that. You can make drones at home or getting it from abroad with ease. Yeah, well, if you're getting a drone with a bomb or a gun, then that's illegal, and that would be like considered against the law. And that should be... then the person doing that should be arrested for it.
Farage, why did this right-wing organisation in the US donate to Reform UK? What are they getting in return? Why are they donating to your party? Why did this fossil fuel supporting think tank support your party?
Exactly.
These are the questions the media need to be asking. But unfortunately, they're not. They're talking about something else. And this, of course, benefits Nigel Farage. Notice here the Reform UK supporter, the former advisor, dodged the question when it was raised about the media. Why is the media not challenging Farage? He started talking about something else because he knows that the media is on board with Reform UK. He knows the media are not going to challenge, and he doesn't want the media to challenge these donations because it would expose Farage as a charlatan. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think, as always.
True. What do they say? Working class people identify with tops. This is a class battle. Do not fall for Farage's grift. Yeah, pretty much. Like, they're not working class, the Reform people, and
pounds. These political parties have failed. There is a vacuum in British politics, and under my leadership, the Green Party will take that vacuum and lead a movement to Parliament.
Are you going to be putting class issues front and centre of the campaign?
Absolutely. I think it's both class issues, and I think it's recognising that sometimes I think the media try and divide the working class.
I'm going to be honest with you. There's no point in continuing the conversation about if guns should be legal or illegal. My stance on guns, they should be illegal. Like, civilians should not own guns. That's my stance. If you want to have the stance that, like, people should own guns, then that's good for you. But for me, there's nothing that's going to change my mind that people should own guns. Like, there's just no point.
From what often gets called the precariat. Those are people in precarious jobs. Yeah. They're running independent businesses, or they're people who just each month are just trying to get...
Do you think the Chinese hate the British because of the Opium Wars? No, like, Chinese are usually pretty friendly towards British people. Especially when I encountered, like, tourists in the streets and stuff in Sheffield. Like, Chinese people are spot on, really. There's not really an issue with them. Now, with, like, the Chinese state, like, the people that live over there, I don't think they would hate on British people for that either.
Get by and pay the rent. I think when you bring those groups of people together, we're really talking about the 19...
It's like hating on Germany for what the Nazis did. And, like, Germany right now, like, the German population, they don't really want to be associated with that type of stuff. It's the same with the British.
9% versus the 1%. So my candidacy, when I talk about eco-populism, is recognizing we need to challenge power and wealth. There are very few small group of people who are holding far too much power, far too much wealth, and power, just like wealth, should be redistributed.
I want to talk about policy, actually, because sometimes we do a lot of these interviews, we don't actually get down to the policy. I want to ask you.
But I would say there would be, in China, I wouldn't say there'd be more resentment towards the British, or like hate towards the British. I think there would be more hate towards the West, like America, stuff like that. Just because America is so like anti-China.
What are the fundamental issues we as a society face, and what big policies do we need that can transform society?
So let's pick up where we just left off, the inequality in society. For decades, poor people have been getting poorer and rich people have been getting richer. So a central Green Party policy is a wealth tax. Now people often go, but what if people leave? Well, I talk about a group called the Patriotic Millionaires who I met recently. A group of millionaires who are saying, actually tax us more, because when you tax us, that's more money. It's not the only way, but it's one way of reducing inequality and putting more money into our public services, making sure people can get a GP appointment, making sure people can get a bus or a train that actually runs.
I think if you get in a government that can do some reform on the police itself, then you can change it so more progressive, like free speech is allowed to be there. But you won't get that unless you like get a government or a party into the government which will push for that. See, right now we have Labour, the Conservatives, and Farage. It would just make more restraints on free speech, and the police would crack down on that from the get-go if the government says so.
Time is affordable and feels comfortable. It's about making sure that people, when they're in the education system, don't have a school that is crumbling. So funding public services is clearly one of the things through wealth taxation, but also looking at other measures too. I heard Gary Stevenson, who I met recently, say something which I think was so important for anyone on the left. He said, it is our job to define the principles, and then it's our job to make suggestions about how that could be done. You then, when you're in government or you have more MPs, you have a whole civil service who can iron out these details and make sure they exactly work. But what the right-wing media often do is take your principle, demand a fully fleshed policy without the mechanism of state, and then look to pick holes in, your numbers aren't absolutely perfect, or the system isn't absolutely perfect, and they use that as a way to attack the principles. Now, that's not me dodging the question. I'll give you some rough ideas, but I think it's always important to say, what are the principles? And actually, I've had a ringside seat for this in London because the London mayor has brought about free school meals. I've got lots of criticisms of Sadiq Khan that I can get onto, but this I wouldn't criticize for a second. I think it's a transformational policy that I'm so pleased that he's done. Now, the Tories have started to attack it, and they've attacked it on basis of universality. They're saying, why should rich kids get a free school meal? And the principle is very simple, that if you're a kid in school, there shouldn't be two queues between the children who can't afford lunch
should
and
just
the children
be a
who
free
can
school
afford an
meal.
expensive lunch. You remove stigma by saying, actually, everyone can have this free lunch.
Yeah, equal.
And what we'll do instead is in taxation, we will charge wealthier people more in taxation, and that money will go back into things like free school meals. So it's about making sure that we're distributing those things fairly. When it comes to universal basic income, it's the exact same principle. It's about making sure that no one in this country should be living without a roof above their head, without a meal to go by, or without, not being able to afford to get the bus to work. It's about making sure everyone has a basic living standard. And if we think about why that's important, there are 2.3 million people using food banks. There are over 300,000 people who are homeless. There are over 3 million people living in fuel poverty. These are statistics, and just on their own, they can get lost, especially when you reel them off. But that tells a story. That tells a story of a completely broken society and an equal society where we have politicians with vested interests, both from the Labour Party and the Conservative Party, and obviously Reform, who are doing what the vested interests are telling them to do.
That's how democracy
been bought and
works
sold by those same people,
and
they're implementing
and stuff
policies that are not for working class communities. They are for corporate capital. And I think the only way we're really going to challenge that is by equalizing and making sure that everyone has a basic standard of living. For me, a universal basic income and or universal basic services, you can get into the complexities and nuances of that, is one of the single most ways you can transform our society. Are there problems with it? Absolutely. The far right, maybe not even far right, but Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, I think, called in the past, have shown interest in the universal basic income. So I don't think it's a perfect policy under a right-wing government.
And there's something concerning about that, though. It's that the way UBI could be weaponized is to make sure that wages are low because the state can prop it up. And this is why when I talk to people about universal basic income, it's very good that you want to have a floor for people, but my worry is that UBI will be abused by the state and by corporations. You know, why is essentially the state giving people a wage only that for that to sort of subsidize corporate profits? And that's why I'm really interested in universal basic services. We have one, the NHS, free at point of use. 2019, the Labour Party offered free broadband. That was called broadband communism. But then COVID happened and people were like, oh, maybe this is a good idea. So I'm with you on UBI, but what can we talk about UBS? Okay. Maybe it might not be in your policy platform, but I want to delve into that.
No, I'm really interested in it. So I think there's two things. I want to respond to the first point first. Whether it's artificial intelligence or actually the European Union, there are right-wing arguments for these things that I absolutely do not agree with.
The thing is, right, there's a lot of bad stuff that happens in this country. I get that. People get attacked, yes. But the argument you're trying to still hold upon here is that, like, people would be safer with guns, and I don't believe that's the case. Like, yes, there is problems with the police and there's problems with crime, but giving people guns is not going to solve that issue. Like, there's no point of discussing that, because guns is not the answer.
And would challenge. However, that doesn't stop them being good things. And so, like, if we look at Europe, I still cannot see a better version for our country with more prosperity or well-being or freedom of movement than actually being in the European Union. Do I think the European Union is perfect? Absolutely not. In fact, it's highly problematic, especially when you have lots of
give everyone an bodyguard. No, I don't think
that's towards a neoliberal path.
That's necessary.
But I don't think the answer to that is to be out of it. I think the answer to that is to get in there and make sure that we support our allies and people who share our politics across the world and help them get elected or support them getting elected. I want to see a socialist European Union one day. Another Europe is possible. Artificial intelligence, same thing. I've got lots of issues with artificial intelligence. If it's going to remove people's jobs, if it's, in healthcare, Wes Streeting's clear plan to privatize the NHS is to have robots treat people. When people are ill, the last thing you want is something that is not human. The last thing you want is something that literally by its very design can't care for you. So I'm deeply concerned about artificial intelligence. At the same time, can I see ways that, if harnessed, could give people more freedom in their life, more time to spend with friends and loved ones, not doing tasks that they don't enjoy that can actually be done by a computer? Sure, I'm not against that, but let's make sure that's harnessed properly. So that's the first bit. To come to universal basic services. I'm enthusiastic about it, but the reason why I prefer a universal basic income is about freedom and independence. Sometimes one of the arguments against universal basic income is that, people just spend it on alcohol or drugs. And first of all, you did an interview with Zoe Garbett, people should watch. I think her answer would be, let's make sure people are supported if they have problematic drug habits or alcohol habits. Let's make sure that they are given that space.
If you think it's unfortunate, man, then there's
consensual choice, and that's the thing they're choosing to do. Why do people get to choose what people spend their money on? And actually, wouldn't we be better in a legalized?
Ain't nothing I can do about that.
Where we could have sensible conversations.
That's my opinion. That's my view.
If I don't go as far as drugs and alcohol, what if people want
like I said, there's no real point in discussing it any further because
but actually want to create art.
I don't think it's going to help.
Left-wing podcasts or engage in politics and activism. What if a universal basic income gave people more space to do that? So it's both a job and you can make money for it. But actually, that's not the driving force. You could do it for the love of it or because it feels important to you. All of those things feel important to me. If it's a choice between a basic income and basic services, I don't like the fact the state get to say, we will only spend this big block of money, and it will be a big block of money, on services, and actually those things you want or love are not as important. I think it's really important that actually we say, let's make sure people have money to spend on the things that they want, the choice that they want, and let's make sure we fund public services. The implication in your question, just to push back to make it clear, National Health Service should absolutely remain free at the point of use, and I think that's non-negotiable. I think there's other things, I'd love, for instance, free public transport. That's something, under a Green government, I'd love to see one day. But is it the first priority? No, I would go to universal basic income first. so people could choose where they spend their money.
Would you then include housing in that? Because I see what you're saying, UBI, because I do hate those arguments where they say, oh, you give people money to spend on this and that. Who cares? It is their freedom. And I like you're making the freedom argument. But in terms of housing, that's not really a choice. People just need housing. And there's an argument within universal basic services is that essentially, at least renting off the state, there's free housing for all. Surely that would be better than just giving people more money, especially when we have a housing crisis and the costs are going up. And you might have a situation where the government's playing catch up by giving people more payments to pay for a bloated housing market, whereas we can make that free.
Absolutely. We have a housing crisis. And I think the real answer to this is to build council housing and rapidly. The conversation often gets into a NIMBY versus developers conversation. But actually, I think the thing people always need to know is that there are more developers sitting on land that has planning permission that they are not building on than the actual amount of homes that we need. There's 1.2 million households on the waiting list, but there are more spaces or landlords sitting on spaces waiting to build than they're actually building. And why are they doing that? Because they are not interested in building houses. They're interested in land banking because that's an asset that they can sell off. If they do build, it'll be an empty building that is unaffordable that no one is going to live in. So actually, I don't think it's a landlord versus NIMBY argument.
Like the land only increases in price that the landlord can sell off. Like he said, they're not interested in building new houses on it.
I think it's the people and people who need council houses versus property developers and political parties who are receiving donations from those same property developers. I think this is one of the key things that really needs to be called out because it's a narrative you just don't often hear. To come to your point though, housing is a public good. It should be a public good. And absolutely, that's certainly one way to do it, is to do a mass house building program, particularly on brownfield sites. In London, there are enough brownfield sites that TfL own that if you put them all together, Transport for London, you would have a constituency the size of Camden. So the idea that there's no space left or we can't do this is a complete nonsense argument that's been propagated or pushed by these same property developers. And
after
the media
this
have taken
video, I have to stop streaming because I have to cook food for tomorrow.
Very happy
I got a meal prep.
You did mention Labour, and of course we're going to talk about the Labour Party. Let's be honest, the Labour Party have completely given up on the working class. It's undermined unions. We've seen how they've acted towards people standing on picket lines. What would you like to see to strengthen unions? And would you like to see the Greens have a big relationship with the unions? What efforts do you think the party need to make to get unions to affiliate with the Green Party en masse?
So I gave a speech last night at SOAS, and just after me, John McDonnell gave a speech. And unsurprisingly, I'd say our speeches very much intersected in the things we were talking about. But John's speech was very, very sad. He stood on stage and said, the speech is online, so I'm not looking to put words into his mouth, but he said he's been an...
You think they should never be able to sell their government housing if they got it? What do you mean, like, if someone had a council house and then they bought it? If that's the case, then it should be able to be sold, but what happens is it gets in the hands of, like, landlords, and they only increase, what do you call it? Rent for others, and the price of the housing only goes up, and then it doesn't really do anything good. I think we need more social housing for people, so people can live in more affordable housing rather than paying ridiculous rent. So I think some houses should not be able to be sold if they're social housing. When someone stops being considered worthy of working class, I don't know. I imagine it would be like
MP for decades, and he doesn't.
Once you earn so much money,
he's had a worse week as an MP.
It has to be a money
the
thing.
Keir Starmer comments echoing Enoch
Because,
Powell,
like,
the genocide in Gaza.
The individual will always be working class if they come from a working class background. It would be that they're, like, wealthier. Because you can never, like, take that person away from, like, their old background. Like, they may change a bit, but their attitude towards things or their, like, accent. Because, like, if you walk into a working class town, everybody has a different accent. You go into, like, a rich area, people have different accents. Again, it's more posh.
The the cuts to winter fuel payments, just a sense that things aren't going to change. And the way he seemed so distraught and so sad, I really felt like at the end of the sentence, he was going to say something like, and that's why I'm joining the Green Party. I thought, I'm in the room. This is quite a moment for the media to have. But instead, the sentence he came out with was, and this is why we need to stay in the Labour Party to fight for the Labour Party. And
so it has to be like a money
and
thing,
why is
I would imagine.
The remaining remaining left-wing MPs who are staying on in the Labour Party, why should they stay and fight when clearly Keir Starmer doesn't care about these people?
Totally. So I want to caveat everything I say because I'm about to go at them with I have huge respect for John McDonnell. I think his politics are sound, and I can understand when you've been in a party for decades and it feels like your identity, why it is so hard to let go, but it is time to let go. And he wouldn't be leaving the Labour Party. The Labour Party has left him. He is wrong because even after Jeremy Corbyn left, there was another leadership contest. Remember, Jeremy Corbyn was only on the ticket in the first place because the centrist Labour MPs made a mistake. They thought it would be good to have a spectrum of views on the ballot paper, and they immediately said they regretted it as soon as it turned out to be a very popular option. Then Clive Lewis stood. I think Clive Lewis is great. He's definitely on the left. I don't think he's like some radical Marxist communist, but he couldn't even make the ballot paper because those Labour MPs were like, oh no, we can't have that. That's a bit too left. Since then, we've had another general election and we have hundreds of very objectively right-wing Labour MPs. There is no way there is going to be a left-wing option on the ballot paper. There is no way the Labour Party machine that has been entirely captured by corporate capital and by Starmerism will be there. And the next future leader will be Yvette Cooper or be Wes Streeting. It could, at a push, be Angela Rayner. But what I would say is, what has Angela Rayner's record been in this government? Do people really believe that she's the future and the hope of the left? I think any of these things are clearly absurd. So to come back to your question, I think the answer is for the Green Party to continue to build its links with the left, not just with the left. And maybe we'll talk in a moment how I think we can speak to
I think people, no matter what they're like, what they were born into, does have the right to have kids and like set up a family. The problem is that it's so hard to get out of that situation, because if you're born like into a poor family, then you don't really have a great start in life, and like most of your life is going to be really, really hard, as I've experienced, because I was not born into a rich family at all. Like getting from like a poor start and like a poor family, you have to really, really just like prioritize earning your keep. And even then, like once you have a bit of money, you're still not there because like you don't really have any you don't really have any of those securities which like richer middle class people would have. Yeah, me too. I think that as well. Because the thing is now, like, people can't get housing and they're just paying for rent, and it's just it just bends away their like what do you call it? The earnings. So there needs to be more affordable housing for people to be able to like actually buy their own housing and move into things. But I think having social housing to like start people off and like give them a head start, somewhere to live, somewhere affordable, and then eventually they'll save up enough money to move out into like their own house and buy something, instead of just like being trapped in this like really expensive rent.
Illusioned reform voters, I think that is important.
In Sheffield, I have a friend who works with me. She pays, I think it was, I want to say, for a one-bedroom apartment, she pays £1,000 a month. Now that's insane, but she's living in the city. Like, it's really expensive.
People who are in rural communities, they're being screwed over by the.
And it's like, if she didn't have like the support from like the college and stuff like that, and student loans and shit like that, she would not be able to afford that.
Same system that mean people can't get council houses. Farmers are being screwed over by aggregate capital and supermarkets that aren't paying them properly. I think also we can inspire people who have never voted before because they think politics.
Yeah, that's the issue. Like, once you're born into that poor family and like crime is just an easier way to get money, then that's the issue. It's like the circumstances they're born into creates that outlook on life, because there is no other like way of getting that money and achieving like what you want to achieve. You will always be like put down from like expensive things that'll just always be an inconvenience into your life. So like most poor people turn to drugs, alcohol, like some form of addiction, to find like some form of escapism from like that type of world, and then that just like completely screws their whole life.
Doesn't stand for them. This is all where my leadership campaign is heading, is ultimately saying we cannot keep speaking to the same people. We cannot keep hoping that we can go to 4, 5, 6 MPs and just kind of slowly
instead
grow
of like
what we need.
Instead of like being helped by the government, like the government going into these poor areas and then trying to like help them with jobs and helping with these addictions and increasing like their what do you call it, better outlook on life. The government just kind of like pushes it aside and leaves these poorer communities and they don't fund them.
Need to be as bold enough communication, speak to people who have never been spoken to by a politician before, who have never connected with a politician before, or maybe connected under Jeremy Corbyn or people like Jeremy Corbyn, but have gone, I've lost all hope now. And actually gone, I see that the hope isn't being placed in one person. This isn't about Zach Polanski at the front and only about me. This is about me saying, I want to facilitate all of those grassroots groups, all of those communities that I have met regularly and have met regularly for years. So it's not just like I've sprung up and I'm saying
this. If he can bring all of these people together, what he's talking about, that would be insane.
Doing the work and going, I've seen the potential and the power.
This is good what he's talking about, because he wants to unite the left. And if he can do that, he will be a force to be reckoned with if he's got all these like left figures behind him.
Play other voices. But this is about what happens if we accelerate that. What if we do that on a national stage? Because we can have all the ground game we want. We've got our ground game really good. We just won 4 MPs. But ultimately, knocking on the doors and delivering leaflets can only take you so far.
Yes, true.
And Reform have demonstrated when you have a bold campaign that speaks clearly about the things you stand for, that cuts through on media. I would never ape Nigel Farage in terms of the things he stands for or the lies he tells. But in the way that he tells a story, I think we need to tell similar stories, but our stories are based in fact. Our stories are based in science. His stories are based in lies and misinformation. He's playing politics on easy mode. We're playing it on difficult mode.
No, I think they should be allowed to have kids. It's just that the government needs to make affordable housing. The government can make affordable housing anytime they want. Like, they can literally do it anytime they want. But the problem is, they're just in the pocket of these rich companies and stuff that are like funding the government and backing them. And it's like, they won't do it because like the people who own the land, these landlords, or like because like a bunch of conservatives as well bought the land from HS2 and then not letting anybody use it now. Like the people who own this land can, the government can actually just say, look, we're building on this land. And it's either you accept it or you don't, but we're building on it. It's the government. They own the country. They should have say over what's done. And I think affordable housing, social housing for people is top priority to get people out of poverty. And it's like they can create jobs in that community by like putting bakeries in those, like do like housing estates and stuff like that. Yeah, like education needs to be a thing as well, but all these things can be tackled easier if people are giving better circumstances in terms of like their everyday living. like if you have a good place to live and it's more easier to live, then your outlook on life will change. Because then you can focus on that job, you can focus on your family. But people can't focus on the family because they're only able to afford a, what do you call it? A 1-bedroom apartment with like, there'll be like a boyfriend and a girlfriend living in that apartment, unable to like move out of there because they can't afford it. Because they're constantly having to pay rent, and like groceries are insane. Paying for like car insurance is insane. Like the government could solve most of these issues. That's the thing. But they choose not to.
We can moan
But if a bank starts going like bankrupt, the government will put like God knows how many billions to just stop that bank from failing. But if like 500 people, or like God knows how many, like people are in poverty right now in the UK. Let me Google it and find out. How many people in the UK live in poverty? 17% of the population. Around 70% of people in the UK were relative low income. I need to get a glass of water in a minute. But yeah, like, the government wanted to change this. It could. It absolutely could. It has the funding to build these houses. It can build cheap, affordable houses. Easy. But they choose not to. It's the same with like everything that's happening in this country. There's schools falling apart. Hospitals are falling apart. The government just chooses not to deal with that. But yet we can say that we're going to have a new defense contract out of nowhere. But we can't afford to keep like poorer people healthy. Yeah, but if you stop poorer people from having kids, then every generation there on out is just getting older. So then the workforce just becomes older, and then you just have a problem, which is like what we're having at the minute, and what like Japan is having at the minute, where your population just gets older and unable to work. And then you have like a population crisis where the government is like, you should have more babies. So like the government should prioritize people having more kids, and like be able to like help them fund that, because that means a newer workforce for the UK. It's just that the government's like, here, you have a baby, we're not gonna help you with it or anything like that, and you're just gonna be like hung out to dry, and you're gonna have to deal with everything by yourself, even though we want you to have kids. It's like
about that, or
they need to,
and I plan to be better.
Think about that. Like,
I think the trade unions
dealing with
I think that it can only last so long.
People and helping
there's
them.
the biggest gap, isn't there, between the leaders of the trade union movement and the establishment, who are clearly clinging on to the status quo, who are clearly clinging on to power and their connections with the Labour cabinet. But then much more widely, you have this huge grassroots movement of members within the trade unions who are saying, because they're actually saying, we want bold leadership now. And I think there's only so long that the trade union leaders can cling on to that power before we will see a new generation of trade union leaders who actually go, you know, we can see that our future is aligning with the Green Party, or even if we don't get to that stage straight away, this is already happening. Just amplifying Green voices and going, actually, these people are saying the things that we want them to say, and the Labour government aren't, then people will do the math.
So you mentioned about wealth tax, right? But really, the Green Party platform is only a small amount. And look, wealth taxes are good. You know, I support the wealth tax, but the problem I have is the way it's been framed is if we tax wealth at this sort of percent, then we'll bring in X amount of money. But the big issue is that the billionaire class owns everything. So surely a small tax on wealth won't do anything. You know, how is it going to curb corporate power? So
the thing is, like,
I mean,
this is probably like most people are not going to like this, but I have the view: if you're the government of that country and there's a company doing business in your country, then you should have the right as the government of that country to tell that company what to do. The company in that country does not have the right to dictate what the government does. It should never be like that. The government is put in there for the people to make people's lives easier.
I understand the argument, which is we need to bring a certain...
But there's this view that if the government's like that, then companies will just run away. Well, it's like, stop them. Stop them from running away.
Money to pay on public services. But for me, it's about addressing...
China's one of the wealthiest countries in the world. Look what they do to businesses. If businesses trying to, like, say to China, like, you can't do this to us, China just, like, gives them an ultimatum and then they shut up.
Inequality. Surely your policy doesn't go far enough. And then also, would you like to see billionaires abolished?
Yeah, so let's start with that. I don't think there's any reason why there should be a billionaire. I think there are people who are earning more money in their sleep than the vast majority of the country, in fact, indeed the world, could earn, even though they're working with their hands or their brain every single day. That is clearly inequitable, and I think is something that absolutely needs to be challenged. A wealth tax is the first step. So I think that's the first way of, I think it's very effective in highlighting to people the mass inequality. And when people hear just 1% on 1%, and that could raise between 30 and 50 billion pounds, I think the answer is what? And I think we've experienced the what now. And I think what we've moved into is actually, how can we do this now? You know, what are you actually talking about when you talk about wealth in terms of assets? And I see that as a win. I think that's a healthy progression of the conversation. And somewhere actually the Green Party, along with people like Gary Stevenson and Zara Sultana and people have been calling out.
Because it's a right to start a family. You should be able to, like, if it's that freedom, like, that you, if you want to find a partner in life and have a kid, then you should be allowed that. I don't think that, what do you call it? I don't think that, like, just because you're poor, you shouldn't be allowed to have a child. Like, you should be allowed to have a child. It's part of life, you know?
Are pushing that conversation forwards. I think the next conversation we need to have, and it's a much more complex conversation, and I've definitely been having it, but less front and center, is around asset management.
Yeah, abolishing billionaires. I don't think that'll ever happen. I don't see the point in that. Like, they can still be billionaires, and they could still put that wealth down into for communities, but they could still be like rich people in the world.
It's around BlackRock. It's around the company that have just bought Thames Water. Thames Water are pumping sewage into our water and asking us
Why should
to
a bad
pay
parent?
extra
Well,
for
not all people are bad. You can't just say, like, because a person's poor, they're bad. Because you're painting everybody with the same brush.
privilege. You know, our bills are going up. So nationalizing companies that run vital services.
I'm not saying like a psycho should have a kid. I'm saying like people should be allowed to make the decision if they want to have a child or not. That should be like an easy decision to make.
Water, energy, the railways. Obviously, the Labour government have kind of.
But unfortunately, it's not because like
nudged the railways.
People don't have enough money,
stock, which is a really vital part of it. So it, you know, it's very symbolic. But actually, nationalising our public services would go a long way too, because actually, what we've seen over decades, and this is what austerity has been a cover for, or not even a cover for, an accelerator for, is pushing public money into private capital.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, what we need to do with public money is spend to invest. And so, the way to challenge inequality in this country is to massively invest in our communities.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying.
Said, there's no such thing as society. Then Blair continued.
If you take that money, invest in those poor communities, the poor communities get a better handle on life, and they're able to like deal with stuff better, and they're able to like work jobs and enjoy life. And once people start like having that little bit of extra money, that money goes back into the economy, and it it just circulates.
Then we saw it under the Tory government, and it's absolutely still under Keir Starmer. In fact, talking about island of strangers or people as strangers is echoing all of that language of a natural continuation of it. So not only have they tried to destroy the idea of community, they've destroyed the physical sense of community. Just last week, I was in Totnes, a youth centre that is being closed down, and hearing from young people and local people how much that youth centre means to people.
Yeah, but why are those areas unsafe, and why are those areas poor? You have to think about that, right? Why are they living in unsafe areas, which are more polluted areas, and in poor quality housing? Because there's no like control or help for those communities. And that's what he's talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's that funding should be going into these communities to help them out of that. You're not born into the world hating someone, or like you're not born, what do you call it, with this mindset that like just because you're poor you need to be a bad person. No, like society creates that. The situation you're living in creates that. If you give someone a better situation that they're living in, a better outlook on life, then their ideals change. Their whole like outlook on life would change. If you just say, well, this community's poor, therefore they should not be allowed to live the life they want to live, then that community will continue to be like poor and not progress or like develop any further. You need to like invest into those communities and actually help them out, and then crime rate goes down, living standards go up. It's just it just doesn't happen, and that's why like you see it more, because they're not being helped out, they're not being funded.
What happens when you close a youth centre? The next thing is young people hang out on the street. Then what happens? The police come because of antisocial behaviour. This is criminalising a very specific political project from the powerful and the wealthy, which is to take away community, because there's nothing more powerful when communities get together, when we eat together, when we pray together, or if people aren't religious, just gather together to say there's something wrong and we need to do something different. The establishment class over decades have done everything they can to break that down.
I mean, you had Rishi Sunak. Oh my God. Let me see, can I find it? This is the speech here. This is Rishi Sunak talking in front of like his rich backers.
From all of you.
And he's like talking about removing money from the poor communities and putting them back into like the rich.
I managed to start changing the funding formulas to make sure that areas like this are getting the funding that they deserve. Because we inherited a bunch of formulas from the Labour Party that shoved all the funding into deprived urban areas. Then that needed to be undone. I started the work of undoing that.
See, like, this is what governments are doing. They're taking that money away from like the people who need it, and they do need it, but like it's not changing because they keep taking the money out of these poor areas. I see your point with like the suffering and things. Yeah, I do see the point.
Protest.
Because like me myself right now, I don't want to be in any relationships. Like, because I know that if I'm in a relationship, I have to like also care for this other person. And if I want to, once I'm in that relationship, if I want to have a kid, I have to like actually like think about how much money I'm going to be able to put aside to pay for rent as well. And also like try and like keep that kid. It's definitely like bringing someone into suffering if you bring them into a poor area, but that shouldn't be a thing. You know what I mean? Like, people should have the choice of, like, when they decide to have a child, that child should come into a world where they are able to live their lives and be happy, and not, like, the parents shouldn't have to worry about is if they're gonna, like, feed their child and be able to pay rent. That shouldn't be a thing. We live in the UK. It's like a rich country. It is a rich country. Like, we could definitely afford to, like, help these people out, but the government just chooses not to.
So what did they do? They're criminalizing protest. They will keep trying to find ways.
Like, I agree with you on the suffering thing. Because, like, if you are born into it, like, a poor family, then you're gonna experience, like, a lot of hardship in life.
To mean that people can't meet in real life, people can't organize, because actually that's the most powerful thing we can do, and that is real leadership. And the final thing I'd say on that is, when I come to the leadership campaign, one of the things I've heard is that real power is being in Westminster. I could not disagree more. Real power is exactly what I was just talking about. It's the people that I hear from in their communities.
Yeah, it's the community. The community is what shapes England. It's not the
who
Houses
are saving
of Parliament.
their local park, who are getting the community centre reopened.
But it's not like that now. Like, the Houses of Parliament is what shapes England. Like, the people of Britain should be the ones that shape England and what it should be.
Who are protecting their library, who are protecting their friends, who are migrants, who are being deported by the state, but they're going to stand there and put their physical bodies in the line. That's real power. Real power is when a politician can speak up for trans rights. Real power is when someone can say we need rent controls now. Real power is when we say a billionaire should be abolished. There's nothing more powerful than
I see what you
your
mean
communication. Yes, we need more MPs. Yes, we need people holding the Prime Minister to account. But I don't want to keep holding people to account. I want to see a green government, and that's real power.
So Adrian Ramsey, current
like, again, I think it's like, this shouldn't be a choice, this is the problem, is like, the people have to make this choice. Like, people should not have to make that choice about not being able to have a kid. They should be able to. And I think that's the main issue there. The problems need to be solved, like we've been saying.
Leader of
so people can say, yeah, like, I'm in a good place, I'm able to have a child, then that should be like something they should be able to decide. But the problem is like we said, there's just like, these areas are just too unfunded, and like, they're just left to fall apart.
Green Party. He's announced he's going to be standing, not with Carla Denyer, because Carla Denyer is going to be stepping down, but with Ellie Chowns, and she's the MP for North Herefordshire. What's the difference, the clear difference between your campaign, Zach Polansky for leader, and Adrian and Ellie's pitch?
So I've preempted your question. I think the big difference is they see real power as in Westminster. And I don't have to create an abstract argument for that. The Lib Dems have got 72 MPs. I would love 72 MPs. I'm not knocking that. But what are they changing? What are they doing? Ed Davey still has to do stunts to get a moment of attention. And even when he gets a moment of attention, I genuinely could not tell you the things he stands for other than social care, in which he's done a good job in cutting through on that. But that's like the one thing. And even then, I couldn't tell you what his exact policy is. So we can get big groups of MPs, but unless we have a coherent narrative...
I've got an idea as well, because I want to do like political streams and stuff like this, but I'm kind of thinking of like having a game to play while I'm doing this, so I can keep myself interested because of my freaking ADHD. Just sitting here sometimes, it does get boring. So I'm thinking about like maybe having like a game I'll be playing, and then like the video up here that I'm like listening to. I might try that.
Unless we're actually built from the grassroots, where we go, we are building real power.
And something chill as well, like a driving game.
Real communities to challenge the powerful and the wealthy. And then in order to take power in the future, then I'm not sure, it's not fair to say I'm not sure what that project is. I can see what they're doing, and it's not something I don't support. In fact, I've supported it for the last few years, which is incremental change. You grow and you hope to get more MPs, and that's been working. But what is happening, or what has changed? We've got Nigel Farage, we've got a Reform Party who are rapidly accelerating. We have a nature and climate crisis. We talk a lot about climate, but also we are one of the most nature-depleted countries in the world.
That's an interesting way of thinking about it.
Destroying nature. They are replacing nature, which in itself is just an absurd kind of idea. but they're not even replacing it in the same community where it's destroyed. Why does that matter? Because it's also an inequality issue. That means you can go to
like
work
it's good that like kids are being raised by their parents, like, because it brings that bond, and like people appreciate their parents more. You have that attachment to your parents. Getting boring even while chatting is going in stream chat. No, it's not that. It's like listening to videos. I'd like to have something to do.
Tree they have, and then replace it in the next borough along,
So
or the
say,
next
like-
county along, in a very wealthy area, and
can
give
I
them
do
some
this?
more nice trees. One, you can't really replace a mature tree. You know,
God.
we're not talking about something that's like 20, 30 years
So
old.
say
we're
like
talking
you would
hundreds of
have a
years
video
old.
this side,
But two, it's a social justice
like up
issue.
here,
So that's accelerating.
and
We've
then
gotta
you would have
challenge it.
like a
We had
gameplay
racist
here.
riots on our streets
That's
last
probably
summer,
what
and
I
it
would
feels
do.
like no one talks about that anymore. I was out there with people, you know, in places like Walthamstow, but also Manchester, Sheffield. These amazing
I could
shows
do
of
that.
solidarity where people got out and said these people do not represent us. But racism didn't go away. The rise of the far right didn't go away. It was an amazing show of solidarity.
There is a game. Oh my god! So like I could watch like streams and stuff,
You know, my
and
boyfriend's
also play games as well.
British Asian. I know what it meant to him and how emotional that was to see people
Where
say
is
we
it? What
stand
is it
with you.
called again?
But I also know the fear that families like his had when people turn up outside their doors and shout out slurs. That has not gone away. And so
It's actually
getting
on
a few
sale now
more
as well.
MPs, that's not going to cut it. We need to take on the far right. And then the deepening inequality, which we've spoken about a lot in this interview, but that's not going away either. So I don't think it's okay to challenge a prime minister who is implementing a neoliberal project that is moving us to the far right, that is echoing the language of the far right. I think the only response to that is to get out to the grassroots, to go to the communities, say we deserve better, we need to grow here, and actually we can grow with the Green Party. And I think to demonstrate that, I don't have the exact numbers because it's just rumours, but I've heard a huge chunk of people joined the day I announced my leadership bid. And I think that's because people have been waiting for this moment. And I really don't think they've been waiting for me. I don't think it's about like a personality thing. I think it's about waiting for someone to step up and state the bloody obvious that the country is in dire a state, and status quo, sensible politics. And I'm not classing them as that. That's unfair, but I'm talking about more widely. The kind of politics we see day in, day out is not going to cut it. It's not working.
It's would you describe it as briefcase politics? Because it made me laugh. It was an article in Open Democracy, and you were quoted saying, "Now is not the time for briefcase politics." What is briefcase politics?
Like I could have a bunch of things.
Words?
Well, this is where you should cut into Helena No Justice NTG, because I've stolen it direct from Helena, and I think you should
noticed that as well.
Always credit your source. But when she said it, I was just like, that's it. And I think a phrase is powerful when you hear it, and I will explain it, but I think sometimes when you hear it and you instinctively know what they're saying, that's a powerful phrase. And briefcase politics, I guess at its worst, is Rachel Reeves on budget day when she's walking around with her kind of red case and displaying it to the world. Obviously, it's not just Rachel Reeves, it's been every chancellor, the last few chancellors where we've had, where it just feels like they're very pleased with themselves. But what they're implementing is the continuation of the status quo. Sometimes they're making the status quo worse, and they're going to speak in sound bites, phrases that don't really mean anything, that are completely superfluous and aren't really going to change the material living conditions of people in this country, particularly the working class. And I think briefcase politics is being okay with turning up for work every day, logging in, doing a shift, maybe filming a video for TikTok that doesn't really grab anyone, in the evening, doing a sensible kind of politics show, and then going to bed and just feeling like you're changing the world. Actually, what I think is we need a radical politics, which involves picket lines, it involves activism, it involves being in those media spaces. And I really liked what a Guardian journalist, Zoe Williams, wrote in a piece about me this week, where she said, God forgive if a politician becomes difficult and or popular, and what happens when they're both, i.e. Jeremy Corbyn, both difficult and popular. And I think we need politicians that are willing to be difficult, that when you go into a media space, you say the thing that you're not allowed to say, or you change the conversation. I guess the most obvious is when people talk to me, it happens constantly about what we're going to do about the migrant crisis. And when you challenge the frame even of a migrant crisis, you see brains explode from journalists who go, you can't do that because we're not having the conversation now that we're meant to be having. I think we need to do that more effectively. But I just use it as an example of being difficult. And what I see in politicians sometimes, and can sometimes come from Green MPs, is an unwillingness.
Oh my god, I found the perfect game that I have. I can just chill on this and listen to like political stuff as well. I have Fishing Simulator too. That's what we're gonna do: fishing and politics.
To be difficult in terms of wanting to be polite, acceptable, appropriate.
The ultimate combination.
Acceptableness to a point is important. I think appropriateness to a point is important.
That's what I'm doing.
You've got to pick moments where actually you say.
I mean, we're in an era of populism, and I think that's one of the criticisms. And I've got that same criticism of the Green Party, which is maybe too.
I don't need to concentrate on fishing.
Maybe it's briefcase politics, but you're facing Nigel Farage, who is really popular at the moment. I mean, the local elections shows that you've got polls showing they're 10% clear of the current government.
So I can actually listen.
Niceness isn't cutting through.
Because I think I disagree, actually. But I think what you're saying, and I think we entirely agree on, is that we need people who can connect with anger, harness that anger, and be really clear and passionate about the things that need to change. I think you can do that and be nice, because actually, I think I'm pretty nice. I'm pretty kind. And I think I would like to think that anyone in the Green Party or anyone on the left.
Yeah, that's it. We're opening a new field of political streaming.
Solidarity.
Fishing and politics.
I think if you come there first, though, and you look like you're living a very comfortable middle class life,
new
or
trend,
a very status quo life. So I get where the criticism is coming from. And I think there's absolute legitimacy in the premise. But the way it's often phrased, this idea that we need angrier politicians, I just think if we all turn angry, what we've actually done is let the far right win. Because in anger, you lose compassion, you lose solidarity, because it just gets about.
But a lot of people are angry, and sometimes they want to see a politician that's angry for them. And when you see politicians say, "Oh, I'm really angry," but they visibly don't look angry, that is part of the disconnect. So I suppose, I mean, to reframe my question, it's not about being horrible and not nice, but it's showing that actually you feel that anger, and maybe sometimes expressing that anger could be
do that.
A useful tool and what people are looking for.
I'm so pissed off, and I think it's being able to express that in a way which is.
I would 100%.
So I'll give you an example. I was on LBC with the deputy editor of the Telegraph, political editor, Annabel Benham, and called her out because she said the Palestinian marches were hate marches. She said, "I'll get accused of." I didn't even call her a racist, which, by the way, I think she's a racist, but I didn't even do that on
DLC
LBC.
as well.
She said, "I'll get." You'll say that this is racist. I said it's a racist thing to say. There is a difference between calling someone a racist, which I knew was going to get me chucked off the show, and saying that's a racist thing to say. And I thought that's the better thing to do in this moment, to use the platform to keep having the conversation. And she said, "Next, you'll call me a bigot." And I said, "I will if you say bigoted things." And I was asked to apologize by the host, who was more offended by me calling out the racism than the racism itself. Then tweeted later on to say that he's never been so close.
That's the move, I'm telling you.
Off the show. And I think that talks to the tightrope when you're dealing with the legacy media. So yes, you need to be angry, and yes, you need to be passionate. But actually, if you just go on there and rage, you're never going to come back, and you're never going to get to say the things you need to say. Now, I think there's a legitimate argument to say, don't come back then, screw them. But I also think there's a moment of pragmatism, and I'm always cautious with the word pragmatism because it often gets used to say, do the things that I want you to do and don't actually challenge power. But I think there's a pragmatism to use the mechanism.
I even have the option of doing like ad on stream
state of the mechanism
and listening to politics because I can draw.
We can be where we are massively pushing, and I do enjoy
drawing
without stepping over the line where you then lose all access to
But that would mean like my eyes would be down.
Something that is locked in. I think it's a moment-to-moment kind of judgment
on the paper all the time, and I wouldn't be able to see chat as much.
Trust to make those decisions.
So I think it's quite widely known that the Green Party have a very unique coalition. You've got the young urban progressives who live in cities and those in rural areas, dare I say, people might say middle class. Adrian won his seat from the Conservatives at the last election. I don't think it's wrong to say that you probably fit more in the former camp. But how can you unite the party and bring everyone into your agenda?
Yeah, so the first thing to say is,
it actually sounds like a good business idea.
One of those 39 seats was in second place.
But I don't think I have the patience.
Who will be increasingly unpopular at the next
actually lay in that skill.
So I think the first place in this conversation.
Like I have an idea. I have tried it before and done something like it before.
39 seats to challenge the Labour Party.
I think I'd be better at
with
knitting.
Good, strong, diverse, working class candidates who have
do some knitting on stream while listening to politics. Put my glasses down like this.
Who has supported this government for the last 4 years. I think that by then it'll be the last 4 years or 3 years, whenever the election is, or 5 years. So I think that's the first place to start.
Sit there like an old man.
But it is also true that we won
just like making humming noises when I agree with something.
So it's not that you just need to be second place. I think anyone on the left, and anyone, even if they live in London, as I do, or Manchester, Birmingham, or Wales, also needs to recognise that the way to stop reform is to be powerful in those rural seats.
I don't have the patience to finish this video. I'll finish it tomorrow. Actually, I'm working tomorrow. What time am I working till tomorrow? What time? Yeah, I should be able to stream tomorrow. Right, I'll be streaming tomorrow, probably 7. If I'm not dead, I'll be streaming at 7. I do have to get up in the morning at 7 o'clock in the morning to go to work, and then when I get back, it'll probably be after I've eaten. So I'll be streaming at 7 p.m. Gloves, that sounds like an incredible challenge. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's no easy feat. I watched like someone try to crochet a hat. That looked like the hattest shit possible because they were going like rounded circles and stuff like that. But yeah. Anyway, I'll be live tomorrow, hopefully, if I'm not dead, and we can try the political fishing stream, where I just fish and talk politics at the same time. That's what we'll do. It'll be a new trend, a new thing.